Evening, everyone. I'd like to open up the Franklin Conservation Commission meeting for March 6, 2025. And before I begin, I just have a small announcement. If anybody online or in the room wants to record the meeting, either audio or visually, because we are doing both, please simply let us know before you start. Thank you very much. And before we begin the first hearing, I'll take a roll call. Remember to take a roll call.
Richard Johnson's here.
Louis Puga.
Jeff Livingstone.
Mark LePage here.
Michael Ryan.
Roger Trahan.
Nicole Sharmonti.
And we're all here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's no one online. Okay, great. So, great. Okay, good. All right, so I'll open up the first public hearing for Louise Drive. Just want to point out, just for the audience, so you understand what's going on, there is a thing called the Mullen Rule that's part of the open meeting law. And what that states, for anyone that doesn't understand what that means, is that the appointed board members can only miss one meeting where, in a hearing, an open hearing where there's a discussion. If you end up missing a second one in which there is a discussion, you can no longer vote on that hearing as long as it remains open. So we actually have 3 commissioners that have passed that second meeting. I'm one, Mike and Richard also. Okay, so that's the reason why you will see them abstaining from any votes on this particular meeting, because we passed that second meeting with a discussion. Okay. If there's any other questions about that, just see me after the meeting. I can explain it more clearly if you need to. Anyway, so again, opening up the meeting for for Louise Drive, and we do have a response from Beta. Yes.
Yes, and as far as I know, the applicant, or the representative of the applicant is still reviewing. I don't know if someone from Goddard Consulting is on Zoom.
Is there anyone here for Louise Drive or online for Louise Drive?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Tom Schultz represents us on the Louise Drive. I thought he was going to be online to kind of explain to you what's going on. We haven't heard from him.
Okay.
Chris Frateroli is on. I don't know
Chris?
if they're.
Chris, do you have
Hi,
any?
folks. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm online. I'm standing in for my colleague Tom this evening.
Okay.
And I believe I just saw Kevin from Depreet pop up. As my understanding goes, we're still kind of working through stormwater comments. And I'm sure that Kevin can address that a little bit more clearly for you.
Okay. Kevin, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
I can now, yep.
Yes, thank you. Yes, we're working through some comments with Beta. We are mainly finished the comments. There's just 1 or 2 in particular that I think we're misunderstanding each other on. So I'm going to arrange a call for early this week just to wrap up. But I anticipate having the formal resubmittal package back in early this coming week.
Okay, great. All right.
Any call, Kevin, with Beta needs to be arranged through my office. Since
Correct.
This isn't under
Yes.
planning board right now, it's just commission review.
Okay.
So,
Right.
thank you.
Understood. Great. Thank you, Precoy.
No further questions?
I'm all set.
Anyone from the audience, any questions? Anybody online with questions? No? No?
Tom, you set?
You're set?
Tom Schultz, you're all set?
No, he said Tom was supposed to be here, wasn't he?
okay.
That's his, right, right.
Oh, got it.
Okay, but we're okay to continue? Yes? Okay, so I'll take a motion.
I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI for Louise Drive to March 20th at 7:01 p.m.
And you're abstaining.
Not Louise. Is it Louise?
55 Constitution, that's
I said Louise is Jeff, Mike, and Richard cannot vote.
Oh, is it Louise?
Yeah, Louise,
Okay.
yeah, so you can't vote.
Okay, can I make a
Abstain.
motion?
You can make, he can make a motion, right?
I'll make the motion, just,
Oh, no, okay. You make the motion.
yeah. Give me a motion to continue the NOI in Louise Drive, March 20th at 7:01.
Okay. Abstain.
Abstain.
Do I second that?
Second that.
You still going, okay? Now you abstain.
No,
She's,
abstain.
now he's abstaining. Go ahead.
Vote to continue.
I'm abstaining.
Vote to continue.
Abstain.
Vote to continue.
Vote to continue.
Essentially, we have 4 votes. That's the majority, passes, so we have quorum.
Continue.
No, you can't even.
All right.
Okay, now, I'd like to open up the meeting for Prospect Street culvert repair. Is there anyone here for the Prospect Street culvert repair?
No, and
No.
not surprising, we have a work session scheduled for 9 AM tomorrow.
Okay, so we'll just continue past that?
Mhm.
Okay. All right, I will take a motion.
I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI for Prospect Street culvert repair to March 20th at 7:02 PM.
Okay,
Second that.
second.
Vote to continue.
Vote to continue.
Continue.
Vote to continue.
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 Continues. Continue. Okay, now I open up the third public hearing. Yes?
So I think I'd open that up, right?
Yep. Yep.
For the Constitution.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, right, so I can open the meeting now.
Okay.
So I'm opening up the meeting for 55 Constitution Boulevard. And this is the same thing. Richard, me, Mark, I'm sorry, Mike, we cannot vote. You have to make the motion.
Yep.
Yep,
No
got it.
worries. Hey, guys. Good to see you.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. For the record, Todd Morey with Beals Associates, Tyler Lapchinsky with our office, and Jeff Sullivan with Northbridge Partners. So, we were here several meetings ago. I think we had pretty much wrapped up everything, except you wanted to make sure that we got through planning board and stormwater. We closed the hearing on planning board at their last meeting, and unless we get a monsoon through here or something, hopefully Monday night they'll be voting on that matter. The only other thing that I could think of was we had also filed, in response to one of the peer review requests, we had filed a waiver request. It was regarding work within the 25-foot buffer zone, because if you recall, there was a small area where we're removing pavement in there. We hadn't filed it with our original application. Going through the peer review with Beta, they said, just for technicality's sake, let's just file it. We did. So that was the only other thing I had outstanding. I didn't recall a discussion or a vote on that. So other than that, I believe we're all set. I know Bricolai asked for the final plans. We delivered those to her electronically, and then Tyler brought a hard copy with him this evening.
Okay. So, we're good?
Yep, I would recommend approval with the variance request with the conditions outlined. And
Okay.
I can read them, or you can.
No, you can read them.
As stated, recommend approval with the variance request with standard special conditions 20 through 41, 43, 44, 46 through 51, and 52. The applicant shall provide the finalized SWIP to and receive approval from the conservation agent and/or commission prior to the start of work. That's it?
You guys do that?
Yeah, the other ones were standard, she said.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then I believe we're good with it.
Okay. All right, so
Any questions?
someone who can make the motion
Yeah,
should make a
so,
motion.
well, why don't we go to Nicole? You want to give us a motion to, well, actually, first, give us a motion to close the NOI in 55 Constitution Boulevard.
I give a motion to close the NOI on 55 Constitutional Boulevard.
Excellent. Second. All right. Vote to close?
Vote to close?
Vote to close.
Vote to close. Richard?
You can't,
Oh,
you
I'm
can't.
sorry, Louis. Yeah.
No.
Vote to close.
All right.
So, and then, wait, we have 3 abstentions, abstain,
Oh,
Richard
Abstain.
abstains, Jeff abstains.
Abstain.
Abstain,
Perfect.
okay.
All right, Louis, you want to give us a motion to approve the NOI at 55 Constitution Boulevard with the variance and conditions as stated?
I give you a motion to close,
Approved.
to approve 55 Constitution Boulevard with approval with variance. You'll have to read them out.
Nope, as stated.
As stated.
As stated,
Yep, and the variance is requested.
and variance is requested.
All right. Second. All right.
Vote to approve.
Abstain.
Abstain? Approve?
Vote to approve.
Abstain?
Abstain.
Approve.
Approve?
Vote to approve. All
Good.
right, approved, all set.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
It can be in the mail or you can pick up.
Okay. So now, I'd like to open up the fourth public hearing, which is the NOI for 124, 126 Grove Street. Is
The
it-
applicant requested a continuance. They're
Okay.
still working through plan revisions.
Okay, all right. So, I'll take a motion.
I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI for 124, 126.
Public comment.
Yes, sorry, public comment? Someone?
Anybody
You
online?
just have to ask.
Oh, sorry. Yes, sorry, I should have asked. Is there anyone that wants to make a comment or has a question about the project, either online or in the audience? Okay, no?
Give him another shot.
Yep.
I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI for 124, 126 Grove Street to March 20th at 7:03 PM.
Second that?
Okay.
Vote to continue.
Vote to continue.
Continue,
Continue?
continue,
Continue.
Continue.
continue. Thank you, guys. Now I'd like to open up the fifth public hearing, which is the NOI for 1 Paddock Lane. And as of yesterday, sorry?
Oh, no, I think Chris is going to present.
Oh,
I was just
Chris?
pointing at Susan.
Okay.
Yeah, you got me online, folks.
Okay,
All right.
yep, good.
All right, Chris Frateroli with Goddard Consulting. I do just want to kind of apologize. We've been a little delayed here. Engineer was unavailable for a couple days, so we did not get something submitted to you in time for the hearing this evening. But as of yesterday evening, I did get a fresh updated plan coming through my inbox. So we're hoping to have a full revised submittal for you addressing peer review comments and a handful of other mitigating efforts we're implementing submitted to you most likely tomorrow or Monday.
Okay, great.
So we'd just like to request to continue this hearing until you're next available.
Got it.
I just have one comment, Chris. If I can get that before 1 PM tomorrow, I can send it to Beta right away.
Okay, sure, yeah, I'll do my best to make that happen.
Perfect.
Okay, before we go on, any comments or questions about this project from the audience or anyone online? No, then I will take a motion to continue from someone.
I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI in 1 Paddock Lane to March 20th at 7:04.
Second. Vote to continue.
Vote to continue.
Continue?
Continue.
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 Continue. Thank you. Okay. Okay, so this is 444, this is number 6. So
And
now I'd like to open up the sixth public hearing for the evening, which is the ANRAD for 444 East Central Street.
This one will be me again.
Okay, good.
Go for it, Chris.
you're busy.
Absolutely. Chris Frateroli, again, Goddard Consulting. I'm joined, I see AJ, the applicant, online as well. So, and I think we were possibly expecting Carlton, the engineer from Allen and Major. I'm not seeing him online at the moment, but he may be joining in a moment. So just to kind of walk through where we've been since our last hearing here, we had prepared responses to Beta's comments. And really, it came down to two major items that are still kind of up for discussion. The first, and I will go ahead and, would I be allowed to share my screen? All right. So the first question that we're addressing here is Beta had raised the topic of whether a fill pile on site possibly had cut off an IVW from a BVW system. So we had done a little digging and pulled some old historic aerials. The area we're talking about is kind of in this zone down here, if we can see my cursor. So kind of with these images, broad scale overview of kind of how the site has been developing over the years. So this is from 1961. You can see obviously cleared and disturbed for decades. We can also see in here, we've got an access roadway essentially coming down the east side of this stream that bisects our site here. We also have rows of nursery stock. I believe these are yews over here and a variety of species that were to be grown for nursery cultivation and sale. So all this to say essentially that we've got a highly manipulated site that has continued to be manipulated over the years. Now, these are some of the compost and fill piles in question. The best we can tell from our historic aerials is they showed up at least visible from aerial around 2005, probably. So we still have this access roadway that comes down along the east side of the stream here, and a handful of compost and fill piles that I'm sure have been pushed around over the years. And then 2021 aerial, we see that pile essentially revegetating, and our site thankfully is mostly revegetated at this point, but we can also see that access roadway still coming down here. So in order to speak to this a little more clearly, we did also go out and take a look at the site. This, I believe, is flag A91 right here with our compost pile behind, and just we'll put a pin in flag A91 for a moment. We'll get back to that in a second. And we want to point out this essentially large mature oak here right above our wetland line, and obviously this is that compost pile right behind it. We'll note that we're starting to see the root flare, so there may be a small amount of fill that's tumbled down over the edges, but you know, more or less at grade and most likely not representing a fill condition. This is another angle of those same trees. We can see those trees essentially more or less at grade here. Here's another set of oaks a little further to the southeast from those previous two photos. These couple of trees right along that elevation 271 contour, obviously compost pile in the foreground here. Again, we're noting that these trees are at grade and don't have any substantial amount of fill around their base. Again, for context, we have this kind of access roadway we were looking at on aerial right here. We can see a row of yews that were clearly never dug for sale. And then from the inside of that compost pile, we see some frozen standing water here. Looks like some sensitive fern down here. This is within the limits of our flagged IBW there. And then that compost pile essentially acting as an impediment for the flow of that water. And again, that GC A91 flag, we pulled this soil from just above that flag, representing a non-hydric soil condition here. So now in plan view, we have, oops, didn't mean to pull that around. We have in this area here, this is that compost pile we're interested in, right? We have flag A90 shown here. So A91 would be this guy right here. And we're looking at, in this zone, those mature trees at grade, non-hydric soils above our wetland line here, which leads us to believe that immediately above this wetland line here shown, this was not caused to be upland by the presence of fill. We believe that that has more than likely, this isolated wetland up here has not been cut off from this BVW series in the south. More than likely, these piles have served to kind of impede the flow of water and essentially developed a wetland here over the decades. So that is question number one. And before we move to question number two, happy to pause and see if there's any questions on those.
Anybody? No?
So Chris, you're saying that that pile there almost dammed the natural flow of the water from the northwest to go into the larger body of water there? Just because
right, that's kind of our impression. We do have a fairly substantial slope along the east side here. And to be sure, water runs down that slope, as it will. And instead of being allowed to eventually naturally make it to the wetland as it probably would flow on its own, some amount of that water is getting more or less dammed up by these piles here and has likely created this kind of wetland feature.
And it just sits there now, just rests. It doesn't.
Yeah, pretty much. There may, in the right conditions, there may be some overflow that comes out here, but the way the grades and the contours look in there right now, it mostly just pools in this low spot.
Okay, thanks.
Yep, absolutely.
Is there a parking lot just to the north of this area?
No, these are homes over here to the northeast side.
Okay.
Oh, sorry, on the northwest side, yes, this is a parking lot over here. This IVW we have flagged is presumably a stormwater basin associated with that parking lot and building.
Okay, thank you.
All right, if there's no more questions on that, we can move on to topic number 2 for the evening. And that second topic is essentially the extent of BLSF on the site. Now, the standard from the regulations of the Act states that where National Flood Insurance Program profile data is unavailable, which is the case on our site, there's not flood profile data available for this area. The boundary of the bordering land subject to flooding shall be the maximum lateral extent of flood water which has been observed or recorded. Now, just again, for context, this is what FEMA mapping shows, this green polygon being a zone A, 1%, that's our 100-year flood with no base flood elevation, and the X in the orange here is the 500-year flood. So that does not represent bordering land subject to flooding. This is essentially how we determined the extent of our floodplain here on the site. So, we have presented this to you folks before, so I won't spend too much time on this, but the impoundment kind of downstream of this wetland system is Northern Spy Road, and Uncas Brook flows under Northern Spy Road via a most likely undersized culvert. So this kind of acts as a dam for this broader wetland system. And the elevation of the road crest here, so if that culvert was fully blocked up and this entire wetland system flooded, that water would flow over the top of Northern Spy Road at just below elevation 271. I believe it was 269.91 was that surveyed elevation. So we essentially took that elevation and implemented it on our site here as our floodplain elevation, because if you think of it kind of like a bathtub, that water can't possibly really flood any higher than that lowest point on the rim. So Beta had provided us some comments that kind of push back on that interpretation. So what we've done, we've also consulted with the owner of the property, Mr. Wayne Stovart, who's a longtime Franklin resident, grew up on the property, and as far as I can gather, has been on this property most days of his life over the last 72 years. And the reason that I pointed out that section from the regulations earlier is that where no flood profile data is available, the extent of BLSF shall be the maximum observed or recorded extent of floodwaters. And in our conversations with Mr. Stovart, he's indicated that these banks of the river along here have never been overtopped. This it feels more like a water feature than a natural stream. This one's only overtopped with that culvert being blocked there, and as soon as that blockage was removed, that water's receded. As we move down the main, more open sections of the river, these banks have never been overtopped in Mr. Stovart's 72 years of knowledge of the site. So what we're showing here, highlighted in green, this kind of lemon lime green, as our floodplain elevation, this being the 100-year floodplain line, which would represent the extent of bordering land subject to flooding here. we feel is actually relatively on the conservative side as a floodplain depiction. You know, we've measured in a few of these areas, and if we assume that that water has never overtopped these banks, that floodplain line is in this location 44 feet, in this location 65 feet above the banks of that river. So that's kind of the analysis that we're going with on this. And, you know, that's kind of what's led us to establish this 271 contour as the extent of BLSF on the site. So that's the overview of how we've approached this so far. And if there's any questions on that, I will be happy to do my best to answer those.
Any comments about the rationale? No? Makes sense to me.
I mean, we got,
Yes, sorry.
Yes, time for public,
Are you May? Yes.
yeah. I'm Richard Stratt. I live in the
Just
Cooks Farm.
talk to the minute taker uses the recording to do the minutes.
Yeah, I'm Richard Stratt. I live in the Cooks Farm area that's potentially impacted by Uncas Brook there. And I wanted to make sure the commission was aware, and I wanted to hear Goddard Consulting's comments about the potential problem that would be caused if those banks were overtopped at the star point on their map. The commission is probably aware that past near on Redgate Lane is the only entrance and exit into that neighborhood. There are something like, I was counting them, something in the order of 50 different houses beyond that point. The only access to us is that. If there were ever even as little as a foot or two of flooding on that road, that would mean there'd be no fire access, no ambulance access, no police access to any of those 50 houses for the duration of that flood. So this is in terms of thinking of the potential impact of overtopping those banks, of that culvert not carrying that water, I want to make sure that's understood, and I want to hear the analysis from Goddard about the ways to ameliorate that potential problem if it does turn out to be one. I also, I'm sure the commission is aware that there's a frequent wildlife site right at that place where the brook opens up. You know, it's a famous site for, for herons and red-winged blackbirds and turtles and things that I'm probably not even aware of. And so again, I haven't heard any discussion or seen any of the paperwork that talked about potential damage to that habitat if there's a flooding in that area. Thank you.
So I'd be happy to address that.
Chris, go.
So I just want to reiterate that at this point, we're not proposing any work here. The discussion of the floodplain using that culvert and kind of road crossing point is only representing existing conditions today. What we're looking at is typically we'd be looking at FEMA's published data for how these water bodies are predicted to react in sort of what we call design storms. The reason that we've kind of had to go through this trouble is because that data is not published by FEMA. So we're really just talking about existing conditions. We're not talking about any proposed work, any increased runoff flows. Nothing of that sort is part of the conversation at this time.
To provide context, that's the difference between an ANRAD versus a notice of intent.
Right.
So a notice of intent will be talking future projections.
Sure.
Right now, they're just delineating the boundaries of.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I realize that, but thank you. I just wanted to make sure, again, Richard Stratt, I just wanted to make sure that is part of that discussion to happen, and that also that the commission is aware that there have been historical trends in which that water elevation has been continually growing over the years. I'm sure Mr. Stoddard probably have seen this, is that last year, in fact, if people in that neighborhood notice for the first time in recent memory that the neighboring land and the neighboring property actually did have floodwater in it. It was not up to the road elevation, but there was actually, for the first time that I remember there. So I think there's a continuing increasing trend, and I'm not sure the historical data will be an accurate projection of what goes forward in that area.
Thank you.
so it sounds like we've got a conflict of opinion between Beta and using that 271, right, is the watermark for the 269, it's a couple feet below. So that's what we're looking at. Is that accurate?
Whose models?
What's that?
Whose models, basically? Which models are you using?
Right.
for maximum, yeah.
And it looks like there may be some recourse in requiring engineering calculations. Regal-I,
Yeah, so DEP, ultimately, it is up to the commission to decide if you accept the work that Goddard has done to justify the limits of BLSF at this time. There is additional regulations in 310, or, I'm sorry, guidance in 310 CMR 10.572A, 3A through C, which is engineering calculations. I can read them out for you if you would like, but,
Yeah.
okay.
yeah,
So A is based upon a design storm of 7 inches of precipitation in 24 hours, i.e. a type 3 rainfall, as defined by the U.S. Soil Conservation Service. B, based upon the standard methodology set forth in U.S. Soil Conservation Service Technical Release Number 55, Urban Hydrology for Small Watersheds, and Section 4 of the U.S. Soil Conservation Service National Engineering Hydrology Handbook. And C, prepared by a registered professional engineer or other professional competent in such matters. So you would, taking those 3 suggestions, you would require then the applicant to determine the boundary of BLSF by engineering calculations using those guidance. So it's ultimately, like I said, up to the commission to decide if Goddard has provided that justification or not.
I thought that Goddard's explanation and justification for what they were doing was quite sound. I didn't have any problem with it at all. I mean, we have a road down there at a certain elevation. That's what he's based. If
Right.
it starts overtopping it, that's at a certain elevation. That's where it's gonna go. Now, if you have so much flow that you can get some increase over the top of that because the amount of water coming through there. But just the same, that elevation down there dictates what goes in the pond behind it,
Right,
how high it's gonna be.
right.
Pretty straightforward to me.
So you have a question? I mean, do you have any comments, thoughts?
No, I think, from what I gathered is, yeah, because we didn't have, there was no information regarding the FEMA flood maps, that they had to go by the, the elevation reference point, and really that's just the existing culvert, that, when it topples at the highest point, that's what you're basing your information on. I think is that my interpretation right?
Is that correct? Is that correct, Chris?
Yeah, essentially, not so much the culvert itself, but the road surface elevation,
surface, right.
but yes, in concept, yes, absolutely correct.
And Chris, that, I believe you said it was 271 on Northern Spy?
Correct, yeah, it's actually a few hundredths of a foot less than that,
Okay,
but we're
okay.
going with 271, yes.
And do we know what the elevation is on, what, was it Redgate that you mentioned? Do we know what that elevation is?
I think we're talking about the same area. Here, let me pull this back up
Where
real
is
quick.
Redgate?
Redgate's the lead that goes in off of 140, I believe.
It's where that star was on that map.
Yeah, so this over here is Northern Spy Road. I think that's really the
Yeah.
sort of controlling point for this whole thing.
Yeah.
And that's basically the choke point, right? So I mean, basically, if that gets,
Right.
that's all, that, nothing beyond, everything south of that is, that's it. Got it.
Right.
And
Yeah,
where
and
is
this flows down
Redgate?
towards the golf course.
Right.
And where is Redgate on your map?
I believe this one's Redgate, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct, Chris.
Okay.
Thanks, AJ.
Okay.
And just,
Well, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
just to confirm the obvious, I think what you're saying, that star is the lowest point. So that's 271 or just a little below it. So that's where the water would
Correct.
go first.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you, just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
So, Regal-I, just, Chris, would you mind throwing that back up?
Yeah, sure thing.
So, we're trying to establish the floodplain here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, assuming these calculations don't hold true, right? Not saying that that's the case. What would be the potential impact on how would we be looking at that floodplain? I mean, can you estimate that, and is this,
Would it impact to the neighborhood?
no, as to how we assess where the flood, because that's what we're doing, right? We're assessing where the floodplain exists right now, the boundaries, right?
I think the data that Chris has provided, especially on the interior to the parcel and the grades, there's merit there.
Okay.
It is current, we have to take current data, especially with regulations. When they go into the notice of intent, stormwater, regulations have changed, noting that there is, more significant, disturbance events,
Right. Right.
so. But
Okay. And just to be clear, we don't have the FEMA data because it doesn't exist, or we don't have the FEMA data because it's not accessible?
it's unavailable.
We don't have the, oh, sorry.
No, it's okay, Chris, go ahead.
Just, what is it?
We don't have the FEMA data because it doesn't exist. The kind of general outlines of the shapes you're seeing is all the data that there is. You go downstream a couple miles and they provide you with elevations to use, but not in this extent.
Okay, understood.
So it just cuts off like what I'm seeing on the screen right now, the orange right there, that is FEMA data, but it just doesn't have it continuously.
Right, yeah, so generally FEMA shows these polygons to represent a kind of approximate extent of the different flood zones. And in certain areas, they do provide you with elevations to use, and in our case, that data does not exist from FEMA.
I'd also like to note, just for context, that a floodplain is an area that is prone to flooding during certain high water events. It is not necessarily flooded areas,
I see, yep,
so
understood.
there's a difference.
Right. So, yeah, what we're talking about, I guess, just to kind of go back to the basics here, is BLSF, is bordering land subject to flooding, is the resource area, and that is the land that is likely to flood during the 100-year storm. So with that 1% annual chance flood hazard you see in the legend there, is the design storm, so to speak, that we would expect to occur once in every 100 years, statistically speaking.
Which is now once every 3 years.
Yes.
Which may be true.
Yes.
If this goes forward, it would seem likely to me that this project would want to look at putting a much bigger couple culverts in that roadway down there, then that would probably mitigate the amount of flooding that could possibly take place.
I think that's
Just a suggestion.
That's further down the line.
Yeah.
But
It
still, we're looking
isn't
at
for this
what it is right now.
discussion.
Raise the roadway.
Raise-
Yeah, I'm just saying, right? Make a bridge.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah.
I'll build you one.
So basically, the bottom line is, are we gonna go with the Goddard calculations and predictions or not? Or beta,
Or
basically?
get an engineer.
Or get an engineer, an independent, request an independent engineer. Yeah, that's the question.
For a 7-inch precip event.
Okay, yep.
I think Goddard did a very good job of giving us evidence and explanation of what we can expect down there. I mean,
I think so too, I agree.
I just can't see forcing them to spend some more, another engineering review.
So,
Seems to be-
question, right? I mean, are we feeling, I don't know if we're prepared to approve the ANRAD anyway tonight.
Yep.
Chris, question for you,
Yep.
how challenging, rigorous, time-consuming, and costly is it to perform that 7-inch engineering calculation? Is that, and just because I don't know, I mean, is that relatively simple, that we could look at that next time?
What's cost and time? Cost and
Well, that's
time.
what I'm asking,
Yeah.
I understand, but just,
Yeah, my understanding is it's, on this scale, it's a pretty significant and expensive undertaking. Carlton Quinn, the project's engineer, is online. I'm sure he can speak to that a little more eloquently than I can.
How are you? Carlton Quinn with Allen Major Associates. It would be a pretty significant undertaking. I'm ballparking here, it's probably $10,000 in 2 or 3 months to do.
Okay, got it,
all right.
okay.
Yeah, that's-
Hey,
that's
doesn't hurt to ask, right? Thank you for the information.
Okay. Tom, any further questions?
No, I
I'm
think
set.
Goddard
I'm set.
proved their point.
I agree with you.
And it's an ANRAD anyway, so
Yeah.
I think that's,
Any further questions or no?
I think we could accept that. I don't think we need to go
Okay,
10 grand in 2 months down the road, so just was curious.
okay. So now, do we still need to continue this though?
Well, any
Because it's still, right.
If I could jump in real quick, AJ Alavisa is with the applicant. I believe with that final comment and the comment that Chris presented earlier, those were the only 2 outstanding items from the peer reviewer. So if there's no further comments, we were hoping that we could close out the ANRAD process tonight, if that's agreeable to the board. Thank you.
Thanks, Chair Livingstone. So the response letter actually came in within our submission deadline,
Yeah.
after our submission deadline.
Yeah.
As such, I also have not drafted any facts of finding. And
Okay.
because I'm waiting to hear a response from the commission, nothing is prepared.
Okay, yep, so we
So
can't,
I
we can't.
would ask respectfully to continue, so
Okay.
I can draft that,
Yep,
provided that the commission is in agreement about that IBW and the
Okay,
methodology
so
for
can I
VLSF.
take a quick poll? Does everyone feel comfortable with going forward with the Goddard calculations?
Has everybody from the audience spoken?
Okay, do we have any more comments from the audience or anyone online? Sure.
I would just like to say, I'm Victoria Wilcox. I also live in the Cooks Farm development, and I would just like to say that, this season, we've had a lot of rain events, periods of heavy rainfall, and on top of snow, and a lot of snow melt. And, I don't understand, we're talking about a 7-inch rainfall, but, I think we've had a lot of melting. We've had a lot of situations where our yards have been like pools of rain and water, melted snow. And, and then if you add to that runoff from this development, I just worry what that will do to our development and our ability to move freely and to go out into the world and do what we need to do every day. Thank you.
Thank you.
They've brought up a lot of good points. There's only one road in, one road out, and I don't know. I know that we're going to continue this, but I think that perhaps we should have a little bit more solid information as far as to let this go forward. I mean, 7 inches, I understand that we've never seen that yet, but it doesn't mean it's not possible. So it's,
I think, but I think the question is, where do you stop? I mean, because, what standard are you going to use to mark essentially high water, right? Okay, what was that going to be?
well, it's not from a 72-year-old man who is saying that, that he's saying that, it's never flooded. That's not,
No,
to
no,
me,
I
the
understand that,
scientific.
yeah. Well, but that's not what we're doing. I mean, that's not what we're doing.
Yeah.
They're actually taking calculations based upon the geography. Go ahead.
May I make a suggestion as a layperson? The amount of water that would render that road impassable to vehicles is a concrete amount. I don't know what it is, 18 inches, whatever it is that a normal car, truck, police vehicle, ambulance could not go through without potentially stalling.
So, maybe a question for you, reply. I mean, we're in ANRAD here, right? So we're the decision we're making is establishing, what the high water mark is on that floodplain, and then looking, ostensibly, we'll see to have a stormwater plan to manage it, right? And that, just kind of was asking before, you know, this isn't about, I think this isn't about yet managing the flood potential, right? That'll be the stormwater plan.
And the NOI, yep.
Right, this is just establishing what the flood could look like that they then would have to calculate into their stormwater plan. So,
Right.
you know, that's why it's good to have this feedback. But at this point, I mean, I don't think we're worried about, we're always worried about it, but we're not calculating what would prevent the road from flooding, right?
It is the boundary of BLSF on the parcel.
There you go, right, yeah.
So unfortunately, the way that Massachusetts works is you have to look at per parcel. Chris, would you mind pulling up that map again for me, please?
Sure thing.
So they are pulling data from an off-site location, but it's determining BLSF only within the parcel that's outlined in red.
Right,
Right.
right.
Right,
Good point.
Right.
Good, yeah, good
yeah,
point.
we're only working within the red
Unfortunately.
box, yes, yes.
Thank you for.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good,
Right.
good context.
So now at the notice of intent, yes, impacts through
Yes,
that water
the
system
downstream.
comes into
Right,
play.
Yeah, those are.
But it's just the
Different
boundary
animal.
of BLSF.
Right.
And it's kind of what I was asking, right? I mean, even if we did the 7-inch study, it probably wouldn't hugely materially
Yes,
impact
impact
that.
goes inside the red box,
Exactly,
exactly,
but
yes,
don't know, but.
yes.
Until you do something with that roadway elevation down there, you're pretty well locked into what the water's gonna do.
Right.
So, good conversation, though.
Do you understand what's going on? Do you understand this?
I think you're saying that the comments that we're making are not being disagreed with, but it's not the appropriate time to bring them
Right,
up.
okay, Right, so we're basically trying to establish boundaries of here, okay? You guys are down here, outside of where we are working, basically, okay?
Today.
Right, today, right, okay. But at some point, there may be a plan that's proposed, a project that's proposed, that would impact downstream, okay? But right now, we're just setting boundaries. We're just saying, these are the lands that are under regulation and that are not under regulation, that's it. And to do that, we're using water calculations to understand how far do those boundaries within that red box extend, okay? That's it, has nothing to do with what's down here. Now, when they come forward with an actual plan, which includes managing stormwater coming off the box, okay? Now you stand up and say, but wait a minute, okay? Because all that stormwater is coming out of that box, ultimately goes over possibly my road, okay? How are you gonna mitigate that?
Yeah.
That's when you start to ask those
Where's
questions.
it going and what are you gonna do about it?
Right, when the project comes forward.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure the commission and Goddard were aware that that point will be
Yes.
raised.
I am sure.
Good to know now, by the way. It's
No, no.
never too early,
No,
right?
No,
Yes.
yeah.
He has one more.
One thing that would be helpful to us newbies in this process is,
Right.
I don't really even understand what a resource area is, so could you explain what that is
So,
for us,
so,
please?
okay, so you have a certain number of types of areas that fall under the provision of protection by conservation, and ergo, the commission. So, but when someone comes up with a project that they want to do anywhere on, anywhere, first they have to determine two things. Are there any of these protected pieces on that property, number one, and where are they, and what type are they, okay? And then essentially what happens is, you come forward with a map, which is what this is, it's called an ANRAD, and you basically say, okay, within this project plan, which is this big box, which is within, I'm gonna do all these things, okay? I've identified this piece, that piece, that piece, that piece, that piece, these are all protected, okay? So now I have to work through conservation, okay, to make sure, are they correctly mapped? Are the boundaries correct? Are they big or small? What are they, right? Have they been flagged correctly? Are they been identified correctly? You know, are they floodplains, whatever, right, okay? So all of that takes place in the ANRAD process to make sure that the map of resource pieces are accurately mapped. Therefore, going forward, okay, both conservation and the applicant, that is all the people working on the project, know what they have to work with, an accurate map of what they have to work with, and more importantly, typically, what do they have to work around? So you could have this really nice, like, great-looking property that looks amazing. It's like, I want to put 18 freaking houses here, right? But then you go through the ANRAD process and you say, now I have all these big pieces of thing right in the middle. It's like a Swiss cheese, and it's all broken up because of all these resources. There's protected resource areas. Probably not going to work for a big 18-home development anymore, right? Because the amount of work I'd have to do to kind of put them in, wheel them around, and make all these protections and everything else, impossible, right? And I can tell you, that's exactly what happened behind my house. When we had a 30-acre parcel, and it looked like we were gonna have this massive subdivision, and then, sure enough, went through the ANRAD process and found out there was no way it was ever gonna work. But you have 3 houses, instead of like 13. So that's the process. That's that first piece of the process, so that everybody's working through an accurate and verified through the Conservation Commission map of resources that you have to know about before you put forth a plan. Is that
Yes,
good?
thank you, that was very helpful.
Okay. Any other questions?
So Nicole, further thoughts on?
No, I'm good. I was
You're,
thinking
I mean,
further.
seriously, you good?
No, I was thinking further down in the,
Right.
yes.
Okay.
It's yet to come.
Because, and please understand, I mean, so the NOI, which again is the project plan, a big piece of that is always stormwater. You have to put a stormwater plan in as a chapter, if you will, chapter in the NOI. That's reviewed by us, okay? So that's the time to have these discussions with conservation, because we will ask people, we will expect people, and people do come, that are adjoining residents, adjoining properties, that come and say, hey, whoa, this is gonna massively impact me, this is gonna flood right into my backyard, that kind of thing. So that's when we have those discussions, and Concom becomes aware of it, and they start asking the applicant to make provisions for other residents, okay? Because it's true, you have to understand, I mean, the group of 7 here is responsible for upholding the regulations, the state and the town bylaws, 2 separate bodies of laws, right? But at the same time, we work for the town of Franklin. We work for the citizens, right? We don't want to see the citizens harmed. We want to see them endangered. We don't see the property destroyed. Of course it's true, right? So there is this other piece of it that goes on here when we start looking at these projects. So please don't think that that's just, just hard, fast, the rules and the rules and that's it. That's not the case. So that's the reason why we absolutely value the residents coming forward and talking to us who think they will be, unfortunately, impacted by a project. Okay.
So we're gonna continue.
Yeah, we
Yes.
just wanted to make sure that everybody was ready.
Yes.
With a strong likelihood that we'll approve it in 2 weeks.
Yes.
I'm good with the calculations.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We're good with calculations. I think we're good. We're good. We're good. We're good. I think we're good. Okay. I think we're good. Okay. So I will take motion to continue.
I'll give you a motion to continue the ANRAD for 444 East Central Street to February 20, is that right? February? March
Spring is full.
22nd.
Unless Richard has a time machine.
Oh, it's March. I was reading the wrong thing, gee. March 20th at 7:05 p.m.
Second that.
Oh, no, I gotta read the right one.
Continue.
Vote to continue.
Continue.
Vote to continue.
Continue?
Continue.
Continue?
Thank you. And thanks for being here. Very good discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah, appreciate
Good
it.
discussion.
Thank you for listening.
We want people to understand the process. We don't want it to be, we don't want to hide behind process. We don't want it to be, we want to be transparent for everyone. That's why I'm trying to explain things to people, okay?
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Chris and AJ, thanks, guys.
Yeah, you did good.
Thank you very
folks.
much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yeah, hopefully we can come back and see a vote in 2 weeks.
Thank you. Thanks,
bet.
guys.
Thanks, take care.
That'd be great. Thank you.
So now, we're going to open up the 7th public meeting, which is the NOI for 7 Charles River Drive. So we still have a review ongoing, correct? Yes?
Yep, I conducted my site visit yesterday.
Yep.
The applicant can expect, likely on Monday morning, a review letter from me.
Okay.
Should be de minimis in nature, so I would expect recommending approval.
You were able to get in and okay, everything was fine? Good, okay, great, fantastic, okay.
No mud?
Oh, there's plenty of.
Yeah.
No snow,
We'll learn
though.
about
Now
that
it's
at
mud
Hemlock.
season, man. Yeah.
It's-
Welcome to mud. Do we have anybody in the audience or online that has any questions or comments about 7 Charles River Drive?
Oh, no, I don't have comments. I'm just representing the applicant.
Okay, do you have any information, any more information, or should we just continue?
Are you going to continue it?
She's waiting on a review from me.
Yeah, you're waiting on the review from
Yeah,
Brika.
so
Brika.
she doesn't have anything.
She
Yeah.
just went out, Bricalai, the conservation director, just went out to look at the property, so we're waiting for her report back.
Right.
We'll take a look at that, should be able to close
Yeah,
this out,
yeah,
hopefully next meeting. We're just
I
not.
think next meeting, we should be able to.
yeah, yeah,
The meeting,
yeah,
or the site visit just happened.
Yeah.
Karen. So, is that what you were asking?
Okay, unless you have any questions for me, I guess I have nothing to add.
okay, that's good.
Yeah.
All right,
We're good, thank you.
okay. no.
It's too early to start digging a hole anyway out there.
No, it's not. I've been out there. I've been digging holes. It's 60 degrees.
Okay,
Give you a motion to continue the NOI for 7 Charles River Drive on March 20th at 7:06.
Second, vote to continue.
continue,
Continue.
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 Continue?
continued. Thank you very much, guys. Okay, let's open up the.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
We'll open up the 8th public hearing, which is the ANRAD for 47 Partridge Street. And I have a message here that there is still a review ongoing, correct?
Yep, so mirroring what Karen said, now we're able to actually dig holes with our augers, not exactly construct, which I know is what you were referencing, Richard. Different type of digging holes. I do see Rick Goudreau on. Rick, I wanted to let you know that our site visit is scheduled for next week. I'm still waiting on exact dates and times so we can convey that to the property owner. But we are.
Very good.
We're moving along, so.
Okay.
That one should be wrapped up quickly once we start with the site visit.
Okay, so we're just waiting for the site visit, okay.
Yep, now that
I know,
site
yeah,
conditions
no,
are
okay, now
We
actually
might approve some things next
amenable.
time.
Now that the Antarctic conditions have gone
Yes.
away. that one's
For
good.
a little.
Anybody have any questions or comments about this project, either in the audience or online? With that, I'll take a motion to continue.
Rick, anything you wanted to add, are you good?
Anything? No?
Okay.
I assume we know. Okay, go.
I'll give you a motion to continue the ANRAD for 47 Partridge Street to March 20th at 7:07.
Second
Yeah.
that?
Vote to continue.
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 Continue?
Continue, thank you. Thank you, Rick. Okay, now we open up the 9th public hearing for 101, the NOI for 101, 102 Panther Way. And I have a message here that the applicant has requested a continuance? Yes?
Yep, the meeting on April 17th.
Okay,
So they're still moving forward with planning board review. We
okay,
did get DEP comments. There's only 3 of them. I can read them into the record for the commission, otherwise you can review now and a month and a half.
could you read them, just read them into the
Sure.
record? Is that-
So the first one is, test pits should be performed at the location of infiltration structures, including subsurface systems, to confirm depth to seasonal high groundwater. At least 2 feet of separation between the base of the basin and seasonal high groundwater and bedrock is required. Less than 4 feet, a mounding analysis is required. Soil logs should be provided to the commission and Mass DEP. That's standard. The applicant should provide the required calculations for standard 3, required recharge volume and provided recharge volume, and 4, required water quality volume and provided water quality volume to demonstrate compliance. Each treatment train should have its own legible TSS worksheet. Revised information should be provided to Mass DEP and the commission. And the last one is the applicant should provide more information about the proposed trail. It's unclear how it will be constructed and what materials will be used. Additional information should be provided to Mass DEP and the commission. I fully expect that the applicant will do the first two. They want to make sure that their basins are functioning correctly. And then I did want to note to the commission that we do have on record, the substrate of the trail. It'll just be a grassy trail.
Okay.
But other than that, you know, DEP doesn't have that, so.
Okay, I see. Okay, all right. Is there anyone here from 100, 102 Panther Way? Did you,
Up to you, Brad. Or Rick.
did you have any comments, or?
No.
You don't have to, I mean.
Yeah, no, I would just, we just wanted to get some more information from the planning board and get kind of all that set up before we came back.
Okay, all right.
He's here for something else.
Yeah, I'm here for
Oh, okay.
So.
Okay.
double duty.
All right. Is there anybody in the audience or online that has any questions or comments about the Panther Way project? Okay, without that, I will take a motion to continue.
Give me a motion to continue the NOI for 100, 102 Panther Way to, wow, we really pushing that far?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
April
April 17th, 7:08 p.m.
Second, vote to continue.
Continue, continue,
Continue.
Continue?
Continue.
Continue.
continue. Thank you, Mr. George.
All right.
Okay, so now I'd like to open up the 10th. This is the 10th, yes. 10th. Yes, the 10th public hearing, which is the NOI for 151 Grove Street. I do have a message here that says that we have not yet received DP number. Is that still true? Yes, okay. And the reviews are still ongoing, correct? Yes. Okay. Is there anyone here from 151 or 4151 Grove Street?
They did request a continuance after I issued this HMO.
You did?
report.
Okay, all right. Any questions or comments about this project before we continue? Okay, I'll take a motion.
I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI for 151 Grove Street to March 20th at 7:09 PM.
Okay,
Second that?
Vote to continue.
continue? Continue?
Continue.
Continue?
Continue.
Continue.
Continue, okay. Now we open up the 11th public hearing, which is the NOI for 16 Hemlock Lane. And, it's not,
Oh,
did
here we go.
we get a DP number? We do not.
We did.
We
There's
did,
just
okay.
no comments, which is
Okay.
not surprising.
Now, we did have a site visit just recently.
Just yesterday, so it's the same story as 7 Charles River Drive, so I'll be drafting a letter tomorrow and Monday morning, and then you'll get that.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
Is the recommendation to approve or?
It would be, yeah, it would be to approve. And it is muddy out there, sorry, you might see my foot sliding down
no.
towards the stormwater basin.
As long as you didn't fall.
No, I didn't.
Okay, so, right now, basically, I mean, we're just sort of like waiting for the comments from.
Just waiting for me. Mhm.
That's all, okay, all right. Did you guys
So it's
have,
likely next meeting?
Mhm.
Okay.
yeah, I mean, did you guys have any additional, anything?
No.
Okay, I mean, right, we're not gonna sit here and grill you about, we're just waiting for comments back.
That's okay.
So, I mean, does anybody have any questions for them?
No.
Is there anybody online or in the audience has questions about the 16 Hemlock Lane project? Okay, I'll take a motion to continue that.
Give me a motion to continue the NOI for 16 Hemlock Lane to March 20th at 7:10.
Second, vote to continue.
Continue? Continue,
Continue.
See you in 2 weeks.
Continue.
Continue.
okay, thank you.
Coming in, guys.
Thank you, thanks for coming.
Look forward to getting it done.
Okay,
Mhm.
now, we are opening up the 12th hearing for the evening, the NOI for 50 Constitution Boulevard. Right. Okay, and it says here that the review on this project is also ongoing?
Yep, so I split up my site visits,
Okay.
so that's early next week. And then the applicant, has yet to go in front of planning board. This is an internal review on the wetland side.
Okay,
But as I suggested at the last meeting, the commission refrained from approving until a stormwater report is issued,
right,
to confirm the discharge into the wetlands.
right,
Has not changed.
okay. So you're here for 50 Constitution?
Correct.
Okay,
Brennan Reale, Land Design Engineers. No new information to provide right now, just wanted to attend in case there were any questions that may have come up. As Bricolai mentioned, as far as I'm aware, we don't have a DEP number yet.
Correct.
And you haven't had a chance to visit the site, correct?
Yep.
And as she mentioned also that we haven't gotten comments back from Beta regarding stormwater. So, like I said, nothing else to introduce. Just wanted to see if you had any questions
Right.
or comments.
Because you're gonna want those two pieces before you put the stormwater report together, obviously, right? I mean, obviously.
Well, we put together a stormwater report as part of the NOI submission.
Oh,
I believe you guys would like Beta to review it before you.
Yes.
Yep, and
Yes.
that's going through the planning board,
Correct.
so instead of double charging.
We do have a meeting Monday for planning, though, obviously that's gonna get continued as well, since I don't believe, they will have comments by that time, Beta.
Okay, understood, okay. Is there anyone online or in the audience that has any questions or comments about this project? Okay, that being said.
Nicole, did you have a
Yeah.
follow-up question from last time on this?
No, I had found the answer within one of the documents.
Okay.
But it was just that other question I
Yeah,
had.
okay.
Yeah.
But you- Okay.
Okay.
Give you a motion
Go ahead, go
to
ahead.
continue the NOI for 50 Constitution Boulevard to March 20th at 7:11 PM.
Second that?
Okay.
Or to continue.
Continue?
Continue?
Continue.
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 Continue?
Continue.
Thank you, have a good
Thank
evening.
you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Okay, now I'd like to open up the 13th hearing, the NOI for 55 Milliken Avenue.
Might I suggest the applicant's representative present first, and
Okay.
then I can follow up with my big note
Okay.
here.
Sure,
Okay.
sure. Okay.
For
So-
information there.
Is someone online for Milliken, 55 Milliken?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, Rick Goodrow with United Consultants. Good evening.
Great.
Would it be possible for you to allow me to share my screen, or if you have the drawing and want to put it up, we could do whatever you prefer.
I gave you permissions to share your screen, and then I'll put it up on the big screen over here as well.
We have one?
Yeah, we have one.
Oh, it's that one? Okay.
Right, can everybody see that?
Yep, we got it. Yep.
Got it.
Not on your screen, Rick, sorry.
I'm sorry?
I'm not seeing your screen share.
Yeah. Oh, I was saying, we have the paper copy here in front of us.
Okay, it's not working on the screen share. All right, that's fine. I have a copy here. I can just, oh, there you go. Perfect. This project is located at 55 Milliken Ave. Milliken Ave comes off of 140. Rear of the property abuts the Franklin Ford dealership, just for a point of reference for the location of the site. The applicant currently has an existing single-family house. A shed is located to the north of the house. Retaining wall is also present on the property, coming from the back left corner of the house, heading to the north, and then turning and heading out towards Milliken Ave to the west. The proposal is to remove the shed and retaining wall and to construct an approximately 1,000 square foot footprint addition in that area there. There will also be a porch added to the front of the existing house, in that area there, correct? And then an exit point to the rear of the house, which would consist of a minimal landing area and then stairs down to grade. We have had the wetland delineation completed by AES, and they have flagged the bordering vegetated wetland located to the east of the property on the opposite side of the water easement that exists on the property. We have also identified the tree line with the, for lack of a better term, squiggly lines that are shown right by the cursor. So we have them on the south side of the property there, and then on the east side of the water line in the vicinity of the BVW, and then to the north of the to the north of the existing house and the development that currently exists. The remaining areas of the site are predominantly either asphalt walkway, asphalt driveways, a walkway, or turf lawn. So the proposal is to construct the addition, as we had outlined, and we have proposed an erosion control sock to encapsulate the work area. We have provided you with a pervious walkway connecting the existing driveway to the proposed addition and porch area to service the house. We have provided an equipment refueling area, which is located in the existing driveway outside of the 100-foot buffer zone wetland jurisdictional area. We don't anticipate material stockpile on site, but we have provided for an area just to the north of the refueling area, if in fact it's necessary. That area would be encapsulated with a compost sock as well. The buffer zone disturbance areas have been identified with no work being proposed within the 0 to 25-foot buffer zone. A very small 103 square foot work would be proposed within the 25 to 50-foot buffer zone. And that is mainly those exit stairs that would be constructed to the rear of the rear of the existing house. We've calculated that to be 103 square feet, and that is the area within the compost sock. I do anticipate those stairs to be excavated by hand or small machine, and that we've just given them some work area in which to complete that. But as far as, disturbance goes, we feel it'll be pretty minimal in the construction of the stairs and the landing. And then we have a 50 to 100-foot buffer zone disturbance calculated at about just under 2,700 square feet, and that predominantly is the addition and the walkway that we're proposing, as well as the removal of the shed. So that's the area encapsulated within the compost sock area and ending at the existing house, which no work will take place in the footprint of the existing house, just the addition. So that's an overview of the project. We do have a DEP file number for this project, and be happy to answer any questions the commission or the agent or the abutters have. Thank you.
All right. So yes, we do have a DEP number. They provided no comments. So Rick, have you had a chance to look at my agent report yet?
I have not received it.
Okay. It is on the webpage, but I can read out my note. So typically, commissioners, as you know, for residential projects, I do review them internally. That is a boon, I suppose, which is a poor choice of words to review things internally for residents. But that is something that I believe should happen, right? However, due to my workload, currently it is difficult for me to review this project by the time that this project would like to be approved by the applicant. So as such, I did ask Beta for a scope and fee just to see how much it was. As I typically do, I offer that to, the applicant to say you could pay for an expedited process, or you can wait for internal review. Something has to give, whether it's time or money. I will note that this does have to go through ZBA still. So Rick, you can enlighten me on where this is at ZBA or if it's been filed concurrently, but I don't believe it's received ZBA approval yet. And historically, commissioners, the commission likes to have ZBA approval before Concom approval. So that's another level of complexity for this timing of this submittal. I will note that the proposed beta scope and fee is not to exceed $2,500. That does not mean that the applicant is out $2,500. That is a retainer. Any fees not used are refunded back to the applicant. I'd like to note that the commission may require third-party review on any public hearing. I'm not necessarily advocating for that, just noting all of these items. I will say that come April 14th, consulting services, due to my workload, will be in place to help cover the cost of internal review. So at this point, Rick and commissioners, and if your client is online, I guess I would like to entertain a discussion of continuing this project until those consulting services are in place, because I cannot guarantee that I will be able to go out before April 14th. So then I would recommend a continuance to April 24th. I would not recommend that you withdraw though, so you don't have to repay DEP filing fees.
Okay.
So that is the best compromise that I could find. Does that make sense?
Comments?
Comments, Rick?
Sure, so just to kind of enlighten the commission as to where we're at with this project. We do have a meeting scheduled. We have filed concurrently. We do have a meeting scheduled for March 27th with the Zoning Board of Appeals. I do not anticipate that to extend past one meeting. However, just want to, let everyone know that the Zoning Board of Appeals has a little different process in that their decision has to be recorded at the town clerk's office, and then there's a 20-day appeal period. So we're realistically probably in the end of April timeframe before we would have a decision from the zoning board, that decision recorded at the clerk's office, and that appeal period run its course.
Right.
Now, we could certainly feel comfortable to move forward with the commission if you were so inclined, if we had a favorable decision from the Board of Appeals. We were just waiting for the appeal period. That's certainly at your discretion as to when you'd feel comfortable entertaining a permit. So, that's what we wanted to really make sure of. Obviously, the beta proposal of $2,500, not to exceed $2,500 was a surprise to the homeowners. And, we just really were hoping that, Bricolai would have some time in the next, 5 to 6 weeks to complete that. We're certainly willing to continue to the end of April and, see if that would work within the time frame of your agent, Bricolai, or if the recommendation is that we go with beta, then we would go that route and, request the commission to give us an idea as to what the time frame would be on that, so that we could, continue a hearing till such time as we've had beta complete their review and an opportunity to respond.
So question, so I'm assuming that even if we wait till the end of April, it doesn't really change your workload, your ability to the project, right? Okay.
Yes, it's not an excuse, and I don't want to.
No, I know, yeah.
But we have budget season, we have these public hearings, construction season is starting, so
Yeah.
I'm doing a lot of inspections of erosion controls and dewatering.
No, yeah.
So it's,
Oh, it's the big time, yeah. Yeah,
it's,
always is.
yeah. So the
Can we get them?
suggestion is, no matter what, I mean, you pay the $2,500 now, and beta can review now. Otherwise, at the end of April, when the commission has consulting services, still through beta, but it's being paid out of the conservation budget and
Right.
wetland fund after
Right.
that time.
Right.
So it's still not at a cost to the homeowner, but there is a time lapse for
Yeah.
that.
Right.
So it's either you accept waiting, unfortunately,
Right.
or you pay the $2,500.
So, Rick, is there something that's driving the end of April wanting to close? Can they move it out like a month? Can they move it out like in May?
Actually, Steve Narducci, who is
I can
the
speak.
contractor,
Okay,
can
okay.
can speak.
Okay, yeah.
I don't wanna muddy the
No,
waters.
no, just, yeah.
Yeah, the homeowners, I'm just representing the client.
Okay.
The owners want to get the spring market to sell their condo, so they can finance the project and move forward, so he can move in with his mother and take care of his mother. It is, I mean, if you can tell me Beta will do it in a timely fashion, and we're not gonna drag it out till,
That's definitely true. They will, yes.
and, you know, $2,500 is, it's a lot of money to them, you know, for a small
But again,
project.
if they could wait till the end of May, then they likely
Well,
would.
realistically, zoning, ZBA is gonna be, what do you say, the end of March, and then 20 days from there puts us
April
almost to
3rd.
the end of April
April, right.
anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm fine with,
I can ask them to be as conservative as possible so they can get some money back. Beta can be as conservative.
I mean, that sounds like it's what you're recommending we do, otherwise we're pushing this out till,
May.
You can also remove
least.
one of their meeting attendants, and you could just read their letter. So,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
example, in their scope and fee, they broke it out to reports, meetings, and project coordination. That's the biggest chunk of money, which is $1,100. So if we, or you, tell Beta that they don't need to attend to report on 55 Milliken,
Which they
you're
don't.
already.
They don't, yeah, we can.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, let's do
So,
that.
what I can do tomorrow, is I can ask Beta to narrow that scope. I can provide an updated amount, and then we can go from there.
Yeah, so we might be able to even have it,
that's more than fair,
right?
yeah.
I was just trying to meet you
We're
guys
trying.
halfway with the timing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, no,
So-
we probably would've ended up biting the bullet, whether I helped them or what, going through Beta, but if
Wow.
we can make it work,
Let me see what I can.
that'd be much better,
right.
all right?
Okay,
Okay,
that sounds good. And then, I actually have a meeting with them tomorrow morning to finalize, some scopes and fees for internal stuff outside of conservation. So I'll just ask them right then and there.
Thank you.
So,
okay, good.
perfect.
It's a good plan,
That sounds good, okay,
all right?
Okay.
all right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Rick, you got that? You got what we're doing? Yeah? You
I
got
do,
it?
yes,
Okay,
thank you.
all right, okay, good. Okay, that sounds like it works. Okay, before we go any further, are there any people in the audience or online that have questions or comments about 55 Milliken?
Hey, just one quick question. You know, you get a slight slope, right, from front to back, removing that retaining wall. I mean, do you have any erosion concerns?
It's a very slight slope there.
Yeah, it's a few feet up.
I really don't, no.
Okay.
I mean, it's gonna be a walkout in the back there.
So it's a full basement?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
assuming the whole area is probably pretty disturbed anyway, it's all part of the lawn, I mean, inside the retaining wall is probably like just.
yeah,
Right, yeah.
Okay,
So the basement will
Correct.
take place up for returning.
yeah.
thanks.
Okay. Guys, are you ready? Continue?
Ready. I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI for 55 Milliken Avenue to March 20th at 7:12 PM.
Second that?
Vote to continue.
Continue? Continue?
Continue?
Continue?
Continue.
Continue.
Continue. Thanks. Thank you.
Thanks,
Stay
guys.
with us.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Glad it worked out.
Okay. That was it? Wow.
Thank you.
That's the last.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Thanks, Rick. So, now we go to general business, and the first thing is we have 3 under minor buffer zone activities. The first one is Lot 2 Forge Parkway. So I'm here for Lot 2 Forge Parkway.
There we go.
Okay.
How you doing? Brad Chaffee, applicant, Camford Property Group.
And this is just for test pits,
Yes.
right?
Yep. We just wanted to potentially have a proposed project we're planning, and so we just wanted to do some test pits within the 50 to 100 foot buffer zone, just to work on drainage calculations.
Well, it says here, we're to inquire about the nature of this test pit and the possible vegetation removal for mobilization access.
I
Yeah.
can clarify.
Oh, sorry. Yes, we will have to do some, yes, a little bit of clearing to get to the test pits.
For my sake, is test pit 3 within the 25-foot?
It should not, no, it should not be. What else haven't
Is it? Because I believe it is. So you have the wetland line, yeah, thank you, Tyler, for drawing. So you have the wetland line and then 25, 50, 100,
Yeah, it says it's over at the other line, yeah.
The test pits are 10 to 12 feet?
which,
Wow.
which my agent report just recommended that the commission discuss the nature of it. It wouldn't be, it is exempt under the Wetlands Protection Act.
Right.
Because it is exploratory, right, so the 0 to 25 is local by law only. And historical precedents, the commission has approved test pits within this area.
Right, right.
I just wanted to clarify because I didn't think any were, so that's why. So you may all discuss that test pit now.
So what type of clearing would you have to do to get into that area?
It's really, we're not cutting any trees or anything like that.
Okay.
It's 40 years of,
Brush,
yes.
really, just brush?
It's a hill, so there's nothing really.
Probably 40 years of invasives, probably, more likely, yeah.
Exactly.
Brambles and
Where are you
bushes.
coming in from?
There's actually access on Forge Parkway, so from the, right before the train tracks, there's actually a curb cut and a,
Oh, right up there.
yeah, you can
Okay.
see it on the plan, kind of bottom left,
Okay.
almost in the corner. But yeah, there is an access point there, a curb cut, there's a little
Oh, I see, yeah, okay.
transformer there.
So you be coming
It is
outside the
Yeah,
buffer zones?
we will, we'll be coming outside the buffer zone and walking our way down, and like I said, it is a hill. It goes down.
Well, ultimately, he's gonna go in there.
We're just working on a commercial building.
Oh, okay.
I'd like to redact my last statement. The 25 is right here, so it is outside of the 25, and then the 50-foot is right here. It's not the,
Oh, I see.
it's not
Oh,
the, yeah, it's
lines are-
different.
I got a little nervous.
It's okay. I didn't mean to
It is late.
blindside
It's
you.
okay.
I didn't.
It really pops out there. It's just weird how.
If it was gonna be an issue, I would have told you.
I see, oh, I see, I
She
got
likes
it,
to
yeah,
do
yeah.
I have made mistakes before, so it's not.
Yeah, I see,
Yeah.
I see, yeah, okay, I got it. All right,
So it is within the 50,
okay,
the 100.
Yeah.
okay,
There's a lot of lines, it's a hill, so.
That's right.
okay. I mean, this is exactly identical to several projects,
Yeah.
just like this.
We're just doing test pits.
Yeah.
If you're in test pits, do your sampling and fill them back in?
You got it.
Okay.
Did you typically, when you have a test pit, you fill it in, do you revegetate or do anything? So,
They're gonna be working up there.
is it gonna be site cleared anyway?
Typically, I mean, we typically don't, just because it's.
Well, it's more like a safety thing, you don't want people falling into the pit.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, that's probably why you fill them, like, you don't want to fill them with vegetative.
This is the construction area after.
Excuse me, where did my kid go?
Ultimately,
It depends on the nature of the test pit or if it's failed. So typically what I have seen is the commission then will ask someone to come back and revegetate if within a certain amount of time there isn't a project filed. Also, Brad is doing it the way that most people, I think, should do it, is test pits first. Oftentimes what the commission sees is a notice of intent first, and then someone comes back for
Yeah.
test pits.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
when you know, okay, well, it's gonna be
This is the way to
disturbed
do it.
anyways.
Yeah.
We,
So,
since it's on the hill too, we can't, we're not bringing it's a mini excavator, because we're only going down 10 feet. It's something that you can trailer in a dump truck, small. So, I mean, the size of our hole would, by the time we kind of dig down in the trench, it's maybe this table a little wider. So,
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Thanks.
No problem.
Any questions, John? No? Any questions about this MBZA in the audience or online? Okay. Unless anyone has any issues, I think we can approve this.
So we're looking at standard MBZA conditions, any clarification on that? We good?
I don't think so. I got some good clarifications tonight, though.
Yeah.
So, but no, thank you, I am, I'm good on this, so as long as, I guess my only question would just be if the commission is, all set with this, if I have any time limit or.
MBZA's last for 3 years. And then the standard condition is just that you let me know when you're starting and when you finished.
Perfect.
That's it.
Don't take 2 years.
I hope not.
Please don't, please, please
I got
don't.
enough of my own issues.
Please, we have these projects that keep coming in for like, you
I-
know, extension, like,
No, don't extend
Please.
this, we would,
Yeah.
you know, the weather looks good next week, so if the board is so inclined, we would go
Next
there on
week is
Wednesday
good.
and be done, you know, Tuesday and Wednesday and be done, so.
Right.
it's
Good.
right, okay.
I'll give you a motion to approve the MBZA for Lot 2 Forge Parkway with standard MBZA conditions.
Second.
Okay,
Vote to approve.
approve, approve,
Approve?
Approve.
Approve?
approved. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, appreciate it.
Thanks, Brad.
Bye, Brad.
Okay,
Thank you. Thanks.
now let's open up the second MBZA for the evening, which is 6 Georgia Drive. Is there anyone here for 6 Georgia Drive?
A backyard ecosystem education program. What is that about?
Doesn't look like it. I would ultimately request that the commission then, put this on the next agenda. But I
Okay.
will note that this is from a B program participant.
the B
So this is
program.
a restoration type of project.
Okay,
So, it's a little self-serve. I will not recommend anything because I led the B program, but it is a little self-serving because I want you to hear her presentation. So,
okay,
just
all right.
extend
Not-
forgiveness
not tonight,
and I will
not tonight,
let,
next one.
I will let her know.
Okay.
It's a metric of success.
Okay, all right. Oh, that's fine, yeah.
Okay.
It would be good, it'd be good.
Is
okay.
she all right with us holding it off?
I don't know.
Oh,
I'm here. Yeah.
All right.
I'm
okay.
sure one meeting will not alter planting times or anything like that.
Okay, all right.
It'll be
Okay.
okay.
She's got to want to tell the story, eh?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't have to vote because it's not hearing. So, then if that's the case, we can go to the next and final MBZA for the night, which is 634 King Street.
Thanks, Tyler.
And you might recall, there was a question about the trees and the more information about the actual trees that are being removed, et cetera, in the corner of the property.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Joe Evans, American East Coast One, Dusty Burke, my business partner.
Hello?
Okay, all right.
So-
And Bree, we did get the list, right? We have the tree proposal.
You can navigate that laptop, so you can.
Do you want to
show
walk
the
through, you
commission.
just want to quickly walk through like what the information came?
Yeah, sure. So just, I don't want to relitigate the past, but I was here back in October online. A couple of the items that I had sent over weren't available to the commission at that time for whatever reason. It got continued to December, I'm sorry, back in January. And the commission had requested, I went back and listened to the meetings. They wanted a list of trees and a site plan, which I had already provided. So I did send over a list of trees back prior to that last meeting. For whatever reason, it wasn't available to the commission. I had brought it up on the screen. And that's something that Dusty and myself had done. We went out and measured. We identified trees that we wanted to cut within, in the 50 to 100 foot buffer zone. At the last meeting, we spent about 30 minutes going back and forth on the location of those trees. I guess you wanted pinpoint locations, and then it came up that you wanted the health of the trees. I'm not an arborist, so I hired Sharon Tree Service, who was in communication with Bricolai back prior to the second meeting. And he had told me that, this wasn't a big deal. It was, future, does this all, they do this all the time. So I was kind of caught off guard the last meeting why I needed to do this, but in any event, I hired Sharon Tree to do a report on the health of the trees that we want to cut in the 50 to 100 foot buffer zone, and a diagram of where they're located.
Okay.
So One other thing here that didn't come up at the last couple meetings was that this property historically was treated as a industrial zone property, and there's a access easement and a utility easement on the property that runs along the property line next to the home at 648 King Street, along that line to the back, that benefited the Dell property. And there's telephone poles in there that have utility lines, and there's also a gate back there that allowed vehicular access. So, and that runs right through that isolated wetland. It didn't come to my attention until recently when I thought about it, but there are utility lines in there also. So, we've had some
Overhead or
discussion.
underground?
I'm sorry?
Overhead or underground?
They're overhead.
Okay.
Yeah. So we've had some discussions with the new owners of the Northbridge guys who are doing the project in the back, and we've talked to them about either getting rid of that utility access easement or moving it. So that's not going to be a problem. But in any event, I have a report here from Sharon Tree. If you'd like me to go through it, I can. I can bring up the diagram, if you'd like, or...
Diagram would be nice.
There's also a list, so the commission didn't have a list of trees that had DBH size or type by an arborist. So I think that is probably the most important, and then this hand-drawn diagram denoting what trees are where. So this was also recently provided to the commission.
Okay.
So this was done by Sharon Tree, by the arborist, delineating the 15 trees where they're located within the 50 to 100 foot buffer zone.
These are the ones you want to cut?
Yes.
Okay. And stump them, I assume? And remove the stumps? No?
Yeah, we could do that.
No, I'm just asking if that was your plan.
I would defer to Sharon if they want, if
Yes, yeah, we would bring them down to ground level, yes.
Below ground level or to ground?
Well, at this time, we would just be bringing them down to ground level. We aren't planning any underground excavation of the
So
site
you're going to leave
right
the
now.
stumps?
Yeah, we could leave the stumps.
Okay, just a question.
I haven't thought about it, so if you want us to take the stumps out, we can take them out. If you want us to leave them, we can leave them.
No.
And that, just to be clear on the diagram, the driveway going in, that's our driveway. That's not the neighbor's driveway.
This is King Street, yeah.
Yeah.
That's your driveway, not the
That's a
neighbor's?
drive, that's the access drive going into the property. There's a gate there, as you see.
Yeah.
And then the utility lines also run along that driveway. And then it goes along the border of the back of the residence at 648 King, and then up through the wetland into the rear.
And the trees are to the left-hand side of that driveway going in?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I can't see from here, but what's the largest diameter?
Well, let me look.
I have a list of the trees also,
Got a list.
if you'd like me to.
Yeah.
You should have access to that online. I saw it earlier.
That's just
Okay.
46 inches.
15, oh, that's a big one, 46, 6 and a half.
And why do you want to cut them? Just because they're there?
This is a developable building lot, and we plan on developing the lot. What goes there is yet to be determined. but we have every intention of developing this property. As I said, it was formerly an industrial property. The house next door and this property got rezoned back years ago. For whatever reason, I don't know why, but it never should have been rezoned. That's not what we're here to litigate today, but it's really, it should be treated as an industrial property or a commercial property. It sits next to the Franklin Fire Station that's zoned industrial, and the 55 Constitution that's zoned industrial in the rear, and also the senior living facility in the rear that is zoned residential, but is being used commercially. So,
If you're gonna build anything on that property, you gotta cut those trees down.
So partly, Roger, to answer your question, we're concerned about beautifying the lot and taking out what right now are unattractive aspects of the trees that are in that area and other trees that are on the lot, as well as opening it up and make it more aesthetically appealing. But there's also been some dumping in that area back in, if you go back to the map, there's an old driveway that goes into the site, and to some extent, we don't know historically who or what, but there's been dumping of garbage, trash, and other things, as you may have seen if you've been up and walked the lot. And some of those things were in the wetlands, some of those things, it's a mess back in there, and we want to clean it up, make it attractive, and also provide it so it's openly exposed, so that people aren't driving back up in there and dumping things. So for all of these reasons, we want to be able to go in there and open up the lawn and make it much more attractive and presentable to the marketplace.
For commissioners' knowledge, that wetlands is actually conditioned to be cleaned up by 55 Constitution, so that's already been taken care of.
I mean, we have the neighbor that's putting, we have the owner of the home that has material that's being, put on our property back near that wetland as well.
Yeah, I
So
think they access up your driveway.
Yeah.
And I think the thing we're struggling with, and we talked about this before, right, is we're typically not in a position to approve tree removal in a buffer zone for essentially ornamental purposes, right? You know, if you're before us with an NOI, you've got a project, you're looking to develop the land, we respect that. That's a different situation, right? Then we understand why you're clearing trees. You're clearing trees out of a resource area, right? And once these trees are gone, these are big trees, right? They've been there a long time, they're gonna be gone forever. So that's what we're struggling with, particularly in that back corner of the lot. You know, I think the question we've had, is could you, do you need to remove all those trees? You know, what looks like, if I look at that back, essentially in the back of the lot by the wetland, if clearing along King Street there in the front, which is not jurisdictional to us, does that do enough? And then we're not even dealing with this. And if you come before us with an NOI, it's a whole different conversation, right? So we just get uncomfortable, and I'm not telling you what we're gonna do, I'm just kind of giving you where we struggle with this. We've talked about this with your partners, I don't think you were online before. It just seems like a lot for ornamental reasons.
It's a good point, and it's not just ornamental, but it's, these are in some cases sick trees, and if you read the report, you'll see it, and there's vines that are growing up and strangling the trees, and there's disease in these trees. If you read the report, and we're happy to read that with you now, it's a short report from the arborist, you'll see that, these trees, and aside from being in some cases, unhealthy trees that are almost they're ugly. And it's not like this is a forest where we're trying to increase an existing forest or deal with a lot that is opening into a forest. This is industrial development that's all behind the lot, and that industrial development is going to increase. And so, and this has been a dump area, and so we're looking to clean it up, open it up, make it attractive, get the sun in there, and make it a much more attractive, presentable property for us and for the marketplace and for the town of Franklin. But we also want to prevent the continued concealing of dumping that's going on in the back of that lot, where there's been, and if you go back there, you'll see it. And so there's a range of reasons, Mark, to your question and comments. There's a range of reasons that we want to go in there and clean it all up. And make it attractive. And I like you guys, you know, like us all, I've been working on real estate projects for many, many years, and it's rare, in my experience, where conservation commissions have not granted approval to cut up to a 50-foot boundary with the wetland, in some cases to a 25-foot, but and it also, you may not know this, but not that this is particularly relevant, we spent a lot of money with not only have the lot surveyed, but also to bring in wetland specialists that flag the wetlands, map them, but also we asked them to do a vernal pool study to make sure that there was no vernal pool there. This is an isolated wetland. This isn't a wetland that is a big part of another wetland. And so it's unattractive, and we want to clean it up. And if you look at the effort that we've gone to, cleaning the trees that are very unattractive here and diseased and so forth, up to within 50 feet, I hope you'll see is a reasonable request in our effort to make it more attractive, more appealing, and less susceptible to concealing, waste dumping, and other things that have gone on in the past.
Vice Chair LePage. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So you're ultimately trying to develop this whole lot into some kind of development, either a building, something you're going to build on it.
Yes, yes.
Which presupposes that you can't have the vegetation that currently exists out there in place anymore. So you're going to have to clear it out, which would mean these trees.
Right. And as you see, most of them are dead, so.
How many of the 15 are dead?
I haven't counted, but quite a few. If they're not dead, they have other issues.
Well, I saw, vines is still a healthy tree.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah,
You can take the vines off. Right?
Well, if you'd like to go through one by one, I'd be happy to.
I wouldn't mind having a number of how many are dead and how many.
Well, I have it here. I provided this to the commission.
Are you able to
and I'd be
just-
happy to go through it.
Are
if
you,
want.
he's sitting at a distance, are you able to just quick count
Yeah.
on this one-page list, how many are dead, please? Vice Chair LePage. I wanted to-
Tree number one, tree is a significant risk to electrical and communication wires on the property. Tree has many co-dominant leaders with included bark, trunk rot, likely.
I see 3 that are dead, right?
Yeah.
2 that are dead.
Christ.
There's, just to the question, how many are dead? 9 and 10, right? So 2 are dead, and the picture shows that. I'm sorry, you say something, Rico?
I was just going to note that, there's a lot of talk about a future development again, going back to our discussion earlier, we have to look at what we have right now.
Good point, good point.
I would like to remind the commission that if there was a development, you would likely request restoration
Of
for
course.
any sort of
course.
alteration in the buffer
Oh,
zone.
with this number of tree removal, yeah, it'd be
Yes,
significant
and
restoration.
to Roger and, or,
Yeah.
sorry, Commissioner Trahan and
Yeah.
Vice Chair LePage's comment about the vines, you're right, just remove the vines. You have dead trees here, what do I say, snags are snacks, right? So
Yeah.
right now, your main focus is protecting that buffer zone. I commend you for wanting to open it up and make it sunny. Making it sunny alters resource areas. This wetland functions the way that it functions. Additionally, and I'm not trying to be fresh, but if it is to prevent dumping, game cameras. Perhaps enlarging the gate so people are not accessing from your property. If people are accessing and trespassing on your property and dumping on your property, that is a different concern and is not enough justification professionally to clear cut a buffer zone area.
Why wasn't I
So-
told this on meeting one?
We didn't get to this point yet because we didn't have enough information. I would like to finish, and then the commission may entertain more dialogue. I would also like to note that a lot of these trees are prospective futures. So codominant stems does not necessarily mean right now that it is hazardous. Codominant stems can become hazardous. The arborist did not note that they are crotched, diseased, or falling apart right now. The arborist just noted they have codominant stems. So that is a future projection, and the commission has denied residence on future projections because any tree is a hazard. So I note this to you, that if you have other valid reasons, as a scientist, I'm poking holes, right, in your justification, so you can manipulate your variables to have a stronger argument. It comes off as being not helpful, but I promise you it is. So that's what I would like to note to the commission.
I have a question. So, when you were in front of us before, you kept referring to the buffer zone, and I had asked you, you have this detailed map, and I told you anybody can make a map and anybody can put a buffer zone. Did you have you been able to go out and did you verify where the buffer zone is?
It is more or less accurate, but
Okay.
yes, you did ask, as a standard practice for wetland scientists to go out, considering the temperature of this, I have just gone out and looked. I typically do not do that for commercial industrial, that is only something I do for residents.
Well, when I first inquired with you, Bricolai, you suggested you would like to go out and look at it.
I did.
I didn't ask you to, you offered it.
Nope, that is something that I have to do as due diligence for any project. I do not delineate for you. There is
Okay.
a difference.
You had conversation with Sean Weber from Sharon Tree, and he had told me that you said this wasn't a big deal, I'm gonna recommend he can cut the trees.
I would never recommend that.
Okay,
I would
well,
never say that on the phone.
Well, that's what you
Every
told me.
conversation that I have with applicants outside this chamber, I make sure to say the commission is the final say for instances like this.
Okay. If I could, Mr. Chairman, June 27th, there was a meeting in front of the Conservation Commission where a resident at 11 Mount Street came before you and put up a map similar to the one I put up and told you that he wanted to cut trees down on his property, 150 dead trees. You didn't ask for a arborist report. You didn't ask for a delineation of where those trees were. You just granted them the right to do it. And yet somehow this is different. I'd like to know why.
I'd have to go back and review that.
Sure. So 11 Mount Street, if you recall, that's actually the permaculturist farmer who was doing restoration.
Ah.
So the trees he were removing were all ash trees that were infested by emerald ash borer
Oh, that's
that
right.
were already down.
That's right.
He actually did have a wetland scientist and arborist come out and look at it. And then he's also doing extensive invasive removal and replanting with native plants.
That's correct, yes.
I
So-
also went out to that site and inspected it in October, I believe.
So yes, the commission actually, the file that we have is actually much larger than what we have for this project. We have soil maps with drainage calculations. We have ecological site descriptions that was given by Oxbow Associates. We have a planting plan that I worked with them on. We have topo maps, contour maps, an entire renovation plan. And he's providing weekly, or not weekly, but seasonal updates.
Okay.
That was residential versus
And
commercial.
it was residential, yep.
Well, this is residential as well. This is
Well-
residential 3 zoning.
I
But
just
it's-
understood just to
but
say it
it's
was
not for-
commercial.
Yeah.
What, you know,
I mean, listen, if you don't want to give it to us, just tell me, and we'll get up and we'll come back another day. But it seems like I'm being treated a little bit differently than some other people here. We're trying to do the right thing here. We're trying to create some economic development for the town of Franklin and get this property prepared, get it developed, and move on. But if, you know, I know there's people in town, I know there's members of the planning board that don't want to see that happen for whatever reason. And if that's an if that is relevant to what, if that particular conversation with the planning board is somehow impacting your decision tonight,
Yeah, fine.
then so be it.
So here's a thought, right? I mean, our intent is not to be difficult or make this difficult. I know it appears that way. It truly isn't, right? We're concerned for the resources. Planning has nothing to do with our thinking. You know, you got a couple of dead trees here, right? That's a pretty easy decision to remove those. I mean, I'm not speaking for the commission, but I would think, hey, you got a couple of dead pines. You know, you're talking about wanting to clean up, quote unquote, the lot. I don't know if I mean, you seem like you're very, very committed to tree removal. You know, maybe some vine removal is a compromise here. You've got some dead limbs, pruning off some dead limbs, right? Maybe you've got a tree here that indicates, you know, borer, ash borer issues. Maybe take a deeper look at that, right? I mean, maybe there's a middle ground. That's what we typically like to do here. You know, our job is to protect the resource. You know, these trees are gone, MBZA, you're not in position, as we talked about, we had a resident that we did something with, they mitigated, right? They provided some balance on the flip side. There was upside for the resources. That's not part of the MBZA process. You're not gonna do that, and you wouldn't have to, right? This is just cut and gone. It's a critical difference between the case you brought up, which is a great example. You know, so, hey, can we find a compromise here that gives you the ability to open the lot? I get it, not to the degree and clear cut that you're looking for, but that we could all live with. I mean, that's where we try and come at this from. I'll just throw that out there as an idea for you.
So the middle ground that you reference is kind of the 50 feet, right? You know, we're not looking to go beyond the 50 feet. We're looking to go up to the 50 feet. And we've all been, you know, and our time is all valuable, and we don't want to belabor this, and you don't want to belabor this. We just want a reasonable, balanced approach so that we can go in and we can cut up to 50 feet, open it up, make it more beautiful. And this is an isolated wetland. These are unattractive, in some cases, diseased trees, and we're not perfect, but we want to work together with you in a balanced and fair way to. It's an isolated wetland.
You're not open to taking down some of them, removing vines and dead limbs. That wouldn't be something you'd be willing to consider. It's all these trees are nothing. That's kind of.
Building on what you're saying, Mark, I was looking at this. The first one, interior trunk rot is likely. Well, that's probably one that you probably want to cut out based on him. Well, we can, this, number 2, you can, trim the branches. Number 3, multi-stem risks to wires. I don't know how big a risk is a wire.
The ash should be removed if
Yeah,
it
so
has
the
emerald
ash
ash.
would go to
Ash,
10
so we've
line.
got 2 of them now. American elm, a tree is a sapling. Well, tree is risk to wires, is heavy lean, and is at risk to uproot. Well, there's another one that probably might be prime. The
Yeah, I
tree
would
is
trim
covered
them.
in vines and has substantial, die-off. Well, there's another one that might possibly be good. Stems. As condiment stems at the base, I don't know what that means. Tree has vines and condiment stems at the, what is it, what is
Codominant, it's 2-stemmed.
Yep.
It
Oh.
doesn't necessarily,
well, it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, but, yeah.
not yet, yes.
Tree is dead, number 10 is dead.
Yeah.
So, half of,
So you-
looks like more than half of them, you could,
And here's the last 4.
is included, overgrowth is,
so
green is a heavily lean, if it's in danger of falling down on something. Tree has dominant stem.
I mean, three are an easy removal. You got a
It
bunch
has
of
rot at the base, so there's another one you can probably take, it's at eastern white and red maple. So, probably half of those, we could probably tell you to cut down without blinking an eye.
So you would make that request and have a conversation with them. It's a dialogue and a volley. You gotta, both of you have to work together.
We could go through and put a check mark on the ones that we think. No?
I mean,
That
he
was my
should,
question.
they
Are
should
you-
really
are you fully
request it.
committed to all these trees
They need to
or
request
nothing?
it, you approve.
Or are you willing?
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Forgive me, I'm hard of hearing.
No, no,
and
no
sometimes,
worries. So the
sometimes it's
question
harder
is-
to hear with hearing aids in and
I got
out.
you.
So I missed a little bit of what was said. But, sure, we'll work with you as reasonably requested to make an improvement here and try to make it more beautiful at the same time, looking from a practical perspective on which trees we might be able to go in there and save, that will still be healthy and be able to thrive and are reasonably aesthetic, if any. And we certainly can look at that, and we would be delighted to meet with you or anybody to go and look at the trees, these trees, and to make decisions on them.
So,
Excuse me, what?
I was gonna say, the process at this point, belabor is a good word. What I would suggest to you now, here, I will guide you in this process, as a previous consultant, is to say, okay, commissioners, you agree to those trees that you just listed off. Those are the trees we will stick to, and we will provide vine removal. So then the commission can say, okay, we've reached a compromise. And then they would condition that only those trees are removed with the vines. That is the ultimate goal to the finish line.
Whatever we agree to would be the conditions that would go on the MBZ.
So there's really no other dialogue to be had. You've provided the information, the
Yeah.
commission is making their determination. This is your chance to say yes or no, but it has to be on topic and it has to be about this, specifically those number of trees. Please feel free to backfill content.
Yeah.
Rick, I hear you, and if I could just make one more comment. To Joe's point, I think that it would have been helpful to us, and would have been helpful to all of us in terms of our time, which is very valuable. And if you'd said to us from the beginning, we're not going to let you cut any trees within the 100-foot buffer unless you can prove to us that they're unhealthy trees.
They
Or
did.
that they're, and
They said
if you had
hazardous.
said that
Hazardous
to
and
us,
healthy.
then we wouldn't have had to go through these 3 meetings and have to hire an arborist and go through all of this effort. Or we could have met up at the site in the first place and just gone in there and looked at the trees and tried to collectively decide what's a reasonable and fair outcome all of our mutual interests. So, and my interest is very much oriented towards your interests. I love the forest. I hike every day. I hike barefoot, in fact, almost every day when the ground is above 45 degrees. And so I spend a great deal of time in the forest. And I love nature, and I want to preserve it. I want to preserve more of it. And I can't think of anything personally as I get older that's more important to me. So, with very minor exceptions to that. And so you obviously all have a shared mission to do that, and so do I. But here, it's a mess back there. And we're just, we hope that you'll work with us to make it more attractive, take down the unhealthy trees, and perhaps a few healthy trees, which well, you could argue anyway are healthy back there. Or otherwise, just let us know in the first place that all right, you're not going to allow it, period. But I think there's plenty of cases where you have allowed it, right?
So,
And other-
okay, so let me
Sorry,
just say,
go ahead.
okay, just to expedite this process, what I would suggest is if you guys are amenable to doing this for them, right? Can we just simply walk through the list and make a recommendation as to in what category, right? So we have a category of get rid of it, we have a category of get rid of the vines, right? Or clean up, right? Those two things. Is there any other category that we put a tree in?
Dead.
Or trim? Okay, so we have three things.
Cut down, devine.
Cut down, devine, trim, three, okay? So why don't we go, or leave B, right, four, okay, four, okay? So let's go through the trees, and let's just denote which one of the categories we would recommend they be in.
Is this something you're interested in?
I mean, that's all. I mean, at least you would see what it looks like.
Yeah.
How about that?
Or is
Sounds
it
good.
really just a matter of, yes, we're okay with you cutting it, or no, we're not? I mean, is it our business whether?
No, because we condition the MVZA.
But
You
the
can con-
vines, is that
Yes,
relevant?
because if they're removing it still from the soil, there's a disturbance
Yes.
aspect, and
Oh,
this,
so we're
Yes.
allowing the removal of the
Correct.
Yes,
not
exactly.
requiring it.
No.
Gotcha.
They're asking for
Good point, though.
allowance.
That's a good.
No, but they're asking for allowance. This is based on, yes,
Okay.
exactly, yeah.
for my tracking, I'm sure you were going to anyways, but could you say tree number one?
Yeah.
Number two?
Okay, so you're gonna be the official keeper of the record?
I've got the tally.
Okay,
Okay, good.
okay. Now, does everyone have a copy of this? We probably don't, right? Not in front of them, right?
No.
I mean,
Not
those of us have laptops, we do, but I mean,
you.
do people, okay, all right. Okay, all
I
right.
mean, is everybody on the commission against allowing us to cut all 15 trees? I noticed Mr. Johnson is.
I think the answer is gonna be yes. Yes. You should just assume that's true.
They need to tally and vote.
And nobody,
You should
some of
assume
you
that's
haven't
true.
opined.
At this
I
point,
think
at this
just-
point at 9:05, you should assume that's true and let us do this. I'm suggesting strongly, let us do this.
We sure will.
Okay? So let's get through this process as fast as
Tree,
possible.
let's put a tree
Go
one.
to tree one, who's ever doing the thing, scan it.
That looks like that looks like a trim. Tree one looks like it's, oh,
I think we ought to let them cut down the tree number one.
I
Could you
can't see.
scroll up, please, on there?
Yeah, you gotta scroll up to the,
There's an interior
Yeah.
trunk rod is
yeah, I
like.
gotta, that's a good, okay.
well, it says,
All
I
right.
It says is like.
mean, it seems like a trim to get away from the wires.
Yeah. Well, it's got interior tree rod, it's like.
It says likely.
It doesn't say
Likely.
that.
I mean,
That's
if
his-
guys,
that's his opinion, that's
Likely
the-
is not even, you don't even use that likely, you have to say yes or no.
I would suggest if this was a resident and an arborist had provided feedback on this, I would say it's probably a removal.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's why
right,
we
that's right.
have an expert
Because he,
look at
right,
it.
because they went to the trouble, okay, now stand up because he went to the trouble of paying for an
You
arborist.
guys,
This is professional,
So
right? feedback.
so that's a cut down,
Is this letter from
Okay.
them?
right?
I think it's cut.
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah, I agree.
Roger and Nicole, you guys okay cutting down number one?
Who is this letter from?
An arborist from
It
Sharon.
is from a certified
His signature
arborist from
is
Sharon Tree
certified.
Service.
Certified arborist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Andrew Sutherland.
Okay, so tree number one's a cut down.
go back to,
Everybody good?
yep.
Okay. Tree number two.
It looks like it needs to be trimmed.
Tree number two is a trim. I agree with that. Any dissents?
You guys gotta cut the side conversations when we have meetings, please. Sorry it came
Are
out
you
harsh,
guys-
but.
You okay with trimming tree number two? Or you get a different opinion?
She has a different opinion.
What do you think?
Nicole
Well, the
does.
Norway maple is really invasive,
Oh,
so sugar
Okay.
maple is not, so I would have kept, but
well,
I understand, but when you come into a likely rot situation and then you come to human health or safety, that is the difference.
yeah.
You were right about Norway maples.
I mean, that's a factor, Nicole. That's a good call. I didn't think about that. So maybe, since it's invasive, maybe that is a removal.
You can,
Is that what you're thinking?
that would be my suggestion.
Okay.
I think that's a good
I
one.
mean, that's a good
I
one.
like it.
All right,
Cut it.
okay, two, down.
Soil
White
organic
ash, you're
producer.
saying white ash or
move.
Joe? White ash is a dead, is,
Well, because of boar.
Yeah,
yeah.
with the borer.
Right.
And we have an American elm, which is a sapling. Good luck with that one, but anyway.
I'd like to keep that one. Good to
Yeah,
know.
keep
Yeah.
that one.
Keep it.
I'd say four
I'm
keys.
sorry, tree number three was a cut or trim?
Cut.
Cut, all three, 1, 2, 3. Eat.
Roger and Nicole, any opinion on that?
Tree four?
Three.
Oh, three, I'd say cut it, I'd say
Yeah,
I should cut it.
Okay.
The American elm, we ought to probably, what do you think, keep that one,
Keep
right?
I'd like to keep
Elm,
that
yeah,
one.
elm.
So tree four is as is.
That's, sorry, I could.
Red maple tree is a risk to
No,
ours, has a
tree
heavy
four they
wind,
want us to
it's a
keep.
risk to up to,
Tree five is a trim.
All of the elms,
I-
aren't all of the elms really today, well, virtually all the elms have died off or dying.
They are
Well,
vulnerable,
it
but
isn't
this
dead.
sapling hasn't, who knows, this sapling
Yeah.
could have the genes that don't
I
die
have
off.
an elm in my yard, 75 feet tall.
it's 24 feet high right now, it's a little bit more than a sapling.
My suggestion for tree number 5 is to trim as well. If there are wires there, that would be, really under the jurisdiction of whoever owns those wires.
Well, how heavy is it leaning?
Even if you just top it, you can condition that tree number 5 is topped to the point where it's no longer hazardous. But it should be the,
Okay,
it should be the electric
So it's a
company
trim?
that does it.
That tree five is a trim,
yeah.
right?
Tree 6 is
Trim.
covered with
Or
vines
take the
and
vines off.
Take the vines
substantial
Six is a divine,
Mhm.
Looks like it, well, okay, wood.
not required, but available to you.
And with substantial die-off, does that indicate a trim might be needed as well?
Probably, good point.
Well, the vines are what's,
Is that vines or is that the tree?
yeah.
Partially. I don't know, just trim the dead part.
Okay.
You can condition that.
Tree seven, divine.
Can I go back to tree 6?
Yes, sir.
When we say trimming, we're not severely trimming it, we're just,
Taking the dead
Right,
off.
yeah.
right, okay.
Trimming tree 6?
Yeah.
And we'll give you this. You're
Oh,
welcome
okay.
to write it down, but we'll.
Don't make it look like a telephone pole. I think that's what Roger
They,
was.
Yeah.
yeah.
Tree
They
seven is a
shouldn't.
divine.
That's a.
Washington, George Washington would take that cherry down.
Red maple is 42, Jesus, that's a big one.
So that's a tree eight is divine, right?
Yeah.
Tree nine is dead, that's cut down.
Tree 10's
Can you
dead.
push
What
this
about
up?
8?
That's just divine, you said.
Oh.
Nine,
You,
tree 10.
Never
Scroll
mind,
up the
never mind.
list, please. On the screen.
Oh,
11
I touched
is divine. You know what, all right.
I got it.
So, well, I didn't realize you guys couldn't see that. So,
No, we got it.
so 9 and 10 are dead,
Mhm.
Right.
right?
Nine or
So,
10 dead.
so we're, here, actually, what 11 heavy vines, so we recommended divining.
Kivani.
12 rot at base,
Base.
heavy vine conduit stem.
Hmm.
It's a pine.
Yeah.
Why don't we If it's got rot at the base.
12, I would probably recommend removal.
Yeah, kind of,
Yeah.
yeah, that's why, we would do it, it was resident, that's what we
I
did.
don't know what that dominance, oh, it's split.
Lucky 13, looks like as is, really, right?
Mhm, mhm. 14 is the trim.
14 is a trim.
15 is divine.
So
All
it's
right,
6
so we got
removed.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so we got six trees that can be cut down. 1, 2, 3, 5 available to divine, and we'll get this to you guys. 3 with a haircut, and 2 just in one place. So, what we can do is recap that for you. You guys can decide if you're comfortable with that and propose that, or if you want to accept that. You know, we can do an MBZA and condition all of that here, or we can give it to you and you can think about it, if we propose it. We got options here.
And what's our recommendation on the stumps?
Well, our standard
So-
MBA condition is to leave stumps.
How high?
Usually
Oh, I don't,
Is there a hybrid one?
there's no height, no.
no,
The higher the better.
cut them as close as you want.
Okay. So, how would you guys like to move forward, given this input? Do you want to accept this input? You want us to give it to you in writing and you recap it, and you can think about it? What would you like to do? Your choice.
I must say, I haven't heard everything.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I know you've tried.
He's asked if we'd like to accept that, or do we want to take it, think about it, and come back? If we, I mean, we've,
You don't have to take it tonight. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not pressuring, you, just giving you the options. Your guys' decision.
right, but if, we don't really have an alternative. If we were to come back, we're not going to get,
Or to Brie Goli's point, if you think you've got a different case based more on a scientific recommendation, that you would disagree with our recommendations, we're here to have a dialogue, right? We started a dialogue, this is good. So that would be up to you. I think the clear point is, you know, as a commission, we're not comfortable having all the trees cleared under these circumstances. So that we would be uncomfortable with. This seems like a good middle ground. If you've got different opinions on what this looks like and you want to talk about that, we're open to that too.
I think you've worked hard, Mark, and the board, I think you've worked hard to try to compromise with us and work with us very, with some genuine consideration and concern for our position, so I appreciate it. And so, Joe, I think, do you want to
Yeah.
further discuss it?
No.
Or do you
No,
want
we'll-
to just go
we'll-
along with the board's
yeah,
recommendation?
we'll go along with the board's recommendation. I appreciate you offering the olive branch for that.
I'm trying.
We're trying.
We really
Yeah.
don't want to make it that difficult.
And to Mark's point too, if the situation, the circumstances for what you want to work on this property change, then our attitude toward what can be done to the property also will be modified to some degree. So right now, you're just trying to cut down to make it look prettier. All right, that's one thing. If it's for something else, then it's for something else, then that's a different situation.
I appreciate that, and so that sounds good to me, and we appreciate you're taking a lot of time to work on this with us to
You
figure
guys
it.
spent a lot of time. So,
Yeah.
and I think we can set it up this way, Brie Golai procedure, I'll just confirm you. So we'll propose approving an MBZA and read off how we're conditioning each of the designated trees be handled along with standard MBZA conditions, and we'll approve that tonight. And then we'll get you a recap of this, and you'll have, you know, kind of in writing what can be done, and get going on it. How about that?
That sounds good.
All right.
Mark, thank you, everybody.
Yeah, well,
Thank you for
Boy, we
taking
all
time.
have to get through this, wouldn't we? All right, so.
We need a motion?
Yeah, we'll get a motion to approve the MBZA for 634 King Street with the following conditions, that we would allow the following trees to be cut down, stumps to remain in place. That would be tree 1, 2, 3, 9, 10, and 12. We are authorizing the devining or removal of vines, not requiring, but if you want to make it look better, on trees 6, 7, 8, 11, and 15. Authorizing and recommending trimming on trees 5, 6, and 14, and the trees 4 and 13 be left as is, along with all other standard MBZA conditions, including leaving stumps in place. So that's what we're proposing,
And might I just add that the devining also means that the trees are kept. It is only the vines that would be coming off.
good point.
Okay, only the vines.
And I'll second what he said.
Okay, we got a motion, we got a second?
And I'll vote to approve.
Approve. Approve. Approve?
Approve.
Approved?
Approve.
Approve.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.
Appreciate
Have a
your
good night.
flexibility. Sorry for the frustration.
You got half.
Okay.
Where are we
So
at?
let's go down to, we now have a request, an RDA for an MBTA right-of-way vegetation management.
Yes, and I do believe they are online, but I do wanted to provide two things that I think are important to note. One, vegetation management for utilities is exempt under the
Yes.
Wetlands Protection Act.
Yes, it is.
Different from the conversation we had before.
Yep.
And also, that another exemption is that utilities can cut through wetlands. So that
Okay.
is why you
Oh.
may see, yes.
Yes, well, that's why you see them.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is likely,
Yeah, like I said,
it's not
it's
exempt,
floating
it's not
off
an exempt
the
activity,
trees.
you still have to permit for it, but yes,
Yes, because they come to us all the time.
it is
utilities.
very rare to see that denied. So I
Yes.
thought that was applicable to note, and now we
Yes.
have someone here to
Okay.
present on vegetation
Okay, all right,
maintenance.
okay. Okay, go ahead.
Well, hello everyone, my name is Matt Donovan, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, so I'm here from Benish, I'm here to represent the applicant Keolis for this RDA to confirm the accuracy of the maps used for herbicide application and vegetation management activities along the commuter rail right-of-way. The RDA is submitted to your commission every 5 years, required by CMR 11. And it's required to get these determinations before submitting the 5-year vegetation management plan to Massachusetts Department of Agricultural Resources. You should be able to see the maps that we've submitted to your commission now. I just pulled them up. The vegetation management plan is designed to manage and control vegetation necessary to keep the railroad in operations safe. Regulations are in place to keep the sensitive areas protected throughout the duration of the plan. The sensitive area restrictions are listed and described in CMR 11.04 as well as section 8 of our vegetation management plan. The maps we provide you with were made for the chemical portion of the plan and often dictate where mechanical methods will be used due to the chemical restrictions. Each year, there are 2 main chemical applications, one in the May-June timeframe that targets the roadbed, and one in the August-September timeframe targets the brush and areas adjacent to the roadbed. The sensitive areas that are marked with blue and yellow are restricted from the brush program and only receive the roadbed application, which is what I'll focus on, because that's the only chemical program that happens in these areas of jurisdiction. The roadbed application is performed by a spray truck that drives on the track and is equipped with nozzles on the backside of the truck that are located about 18 inches above the ground and spray the solution directly down onto the track, and that extends out to approximately 12 feet from the center line of track. This certified applicator is always accompanied by an environmental monitor familiar with the site conditions and equipped with these maps, instructing the operator as necessary. The applicator has the ability to turn the nozzles off, or in many cases, just the side nozzles that apply the mixture to the shoulders of the track where it may be getting close to the buffer zone of a sensitive area. The yellow zones typically represent where they're within 22 feet of a wetland boundary. The yellow zones typically they never receive any treatment on the shoulders, and in many cases they'll they will still receive the treatment directly down onto the ties and track itself. And that's under the discretion of the environmental monitor and applicator to stay within the regulations. The blue zones typically represent being within 100 feet of the sensitive areas, and these zones typically receive the full roadbed treatment. These zones only get sprayed once every year, and like I said, just that roadbed program. And in the dark blue zones are more DEP zones and water supply zones. Those get sprayed every 2 years, which is the minimum interval for in conformance with regulations. The blue and yellow zones, due to the limited spray, they'll receive more effort is put into controlling the vegetation management with physical and mechanical measures as needed. The chemicals that are used each year vary and are typically chosen by the certified applicator in coordination with Keolis. The chemicals are all from the approved sensitive material list provided by the Mass Department of Agricultural Resources. In each year's program, mixture is included in the yearly operational plan that we send to your commission every year. Your commission does have the opportunity to comment on the vegetation management plan during the review process when we submit that after all these RDAs and determinations are complete, and that'll be happening at the probably around late summertime is when we'll be submitting that to the Department of Agricultural Resources. So I'd be happy to scroll through the maps or answer any questions you have with the vegetation management plan. We are seeking a positive 2A determination to confirm the maps and a negative 2 or 5 determination to exempt the work from an NOI. So I can open it up to the commission.
Just out of curiosity, are the tracks are only used for the MBA, or does commercial traffic also go on these tracks?
The trucks are specific. They have high rail equipment to set on the rails, so they drive on the roads too. But when they set on the rails, they're going down the actual train tracks. I guess did that answer your question?
No, I was just out of curiosity, not related specifically to the project. I was just wondering, are the railroads themselves, the tracks, only used for MBA trains, or do commercial trains also use these tracks?
There are certain areas, more so on the spurs, and I think you actually do have an area that does have some freight.
Oh.
I'd have to check, but I think there is some freight that happens on this stretch of track. But don't quote me on that. And
Okay, I was just curious. Okay, that's all.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a straightforward project, yeah.
This just affects the tracks, right, the track area.
The right of way.
I mean, we do this all the time.
Yeah.
It's very standard.
I had a
Just out of
question.
curiosity,
Sorry.
Just out of curiosity, you might have explained it, so what constitutes, it's distinguishing between the 2 year, the 1 year, and
Yeah.
no spray? I'm just trying to see a pattern, but I don't see
Yeah,
it.
I mean, that was curious, yeah. Is there some sort of like difference in foliage, or difference in flow, or maybe difference in water or something that determines whether you do it once year or for 2 years?
It's typically DEP zones and water supply zones that are every 2 years. As you can see, these pink areas, magenta, you can only spray every 2 years. Wetlands are typically just trigger a 12-month interval. If it's just a wetland, obviously the wetlands in these DEP or water supply areas, the DEP zone would trump that wetland and make it even more restrictive.
I see.
But those exact restrictions are all listed and described in CMR 11, and that's what these maps are made from and are in conformance with.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you're salting the road, they tell you, don't salt on bridges, But, okay.
Are weather conditions taken into consideration when you're spraying?
Yes, that's a good question. There are regulations for rain and wind. That, I don't know what the exact regulations are, but that's something that the certified applicator has a license through the state of Massachusetts, and they're required to stay within those regulations of weather. So what Keolis does is, I'm not using exact numbers here, but if it's, say they expect that the chemical application is going to take 10 days, they'll hire the applicator and have them scheduled for, say, 15 days. So there are weather days if they do have to not spray on certain days due to weather, they'll have those days backed up, ready to go when the weather is okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong too, Matt, but all licensed applicators, they have to provide notice to the state of when they're spraying.
Oh.
So they can lose their licensure if.
Well, that's like the beaver pond treatment, stuff like that, they have to, right? They have to notify,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we provide notice as well to the DAR and your commission, the Board of Health, the Board of Selectmen in every town. And we post on the Boston Globe before application. So there is plenty of that. But yeah, the licensed applicator does have lots of things that they need to look out for.
Got it. Cool. Any other questions? Okay, so I think we'll wait and then give the determination.
So,
I'm sorry,
yep, I just wanted to note that they're actually, it's omitted from my agent report, but they're seeking a positive
Oh.
2A determination for
Oh.
the overlays,
Oh.
GIS overlays,
Okay.
and then a negative number 5
Okay.
determination for their exemptions.
Positive 2A and a negative 5.
Correct.
Two separate.
You can say it all at
We can-
once.
we can-
Yep,
okay.
it's all one form.
Okay, all right.
Go ahead, Mark.
All right,
You got it.
I'll give you a motion for a positive 2A and a negative 5 on the MBTA right-of-way vegetation management, RDA. Thank you.
Excellent, I'll second that.
Okay.
We'll vote to approve, or we'll vote to,
Yeah, as stated.
as stated, yeah, okay, that's safe.
Vote for as stated.
As stated.
As stated.
As stated.
Vote to approve as stated.
Vote to approve as stated.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Explanation.
Okay, so now we go to modification extensions, and the first one is Franklin Heights. What's going on with Franklin Heights?
I'm just going to step up to this.
Oh,
Hello?
Hi, how's everyone doing?
Good, good.
Great.
it's a long night.
Appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, thanks for having us on the agenda, appreciate it.
Thanks for waiting so
No,
long.
no problem. As luck would have it, I didn't come until, there was 18 items on the agenda 2 weeks ago, and I didn't come till 8:10, and I missed my spot. So I was like, okay, today I'm coming at 7:15.
And we're running
So I just got it flipped upside down, but pleased to be here. Bruce Wheeler, principal of Oliver Crossing. We're working in phase 2. Things are going really, really well. We had an on-site discussion about the drainage ponds aren't set to be, there's a condition 52 in the order of conditions, and the retention ponds are not to be connected to the drainage system until the 3rd phase. We're working in the 2nd phase now, and once we pave the road, the way that we're set up to work is the water will sheet off the road overland into the retention ponds and pick up some silt and have some erosion along the way. We wanted to bring this to your attention and just run this by you. We could connect the ponds to the drainage system as part of the 2nd phase and have the water run through the catch basins with silt sacks and through the drainage pipes into the pond, which may cause less erosion and pick up less silt in the water, If this is something that you're interested in entertaining, we'll put an amendment request together to have a more comprehensive discussion, but wanted to run this by you and see if you're if it's something that you're interested in considering.
I've looked at this out there quite often. That's totally what you should do.
Okay.
You shouldn't let the water run down the road willy-nilly wherever the hell it wants. Get it into the systems. Put silt sacks. You're gonna have to, silt sacks, you know, you gotta clean them all the goddamn time.
Yeah.
And if it does silt the pipes up, they'll have to clean them, but it's the way to do it.
We would do that anyway.
Yeah.
We're required to do that anyway,
Just bring it up.
and to pull anything out. But I think we're going to have less erosion and a cleaner site and less risk of having an erosion issue.
Sure.
The drainage pipes are there for that purpose.
Yes, no, sure. Sure. I see no downside at all. Anybody?
How long would you have the time between, you know, this phase, the phase you're trying to do this, to the phase that it's gonna get its final state? Like, what's the timeline?
The timeline between phase 2 and phase 3?
Yes.
There'll be a little bit of a separation. We're shortly gonna start building and selling homes, so it could be until next year before we do phase 3. And it's gonna be sort of market and construction schedule defined. And once we get halfway through the construction of units in phase 2, then we'll want to start phase 3. So it's realistically, it could be as early as fall and as late as a year from now. So that's why we bring it up.
Okay.
So we initially worried about this sediment going into the drainage system.
Yeah.
That was our
Yeah.
very beginning.
I mean, it seems like
Yeah.
Okay.
You're just gonna have to have more maintenance on it.
Yeah.
Clean it up.
Agreed, we're happy to do that, and I think it mitigates some risk of erosion on the site, and we're happy to do the additional maintenance and to manage the silt sacks and do some extra cleaning of the catch basins, but we think it's, we wanted to bring it to your attention because we think it's a safer way to go.
Yeah, yes. Yes. Yes.
I agree.
Everybody agrees? Yeah? You good?
Absolutely.
Go.
Okay, so we'll put
I'd be
together an
disappointed if
amendment
it didn't go the
request,
other way.
send it in, defining the whole thing, and then we'll go from there.
Good.
All
Are
right,
you
thanks
still-
for your time, appreciate it, great to see you guys.
Thank you for-
Sorry about missing you 2 weeks ago.
Waiting so long to explain it to us.
That's okay, it's unpredictable, it's unpredictable. It's part, all right, bye.
You were gonna put binder on some of the road?
Oh, I think it's not necessary to do. We took a look at that. I can talk about it if you'd like.
No, I mean, if you wanted to put binder on it, that wouldn't be a problem for me, anyway. But if you don't wanna do it, that's fine.
I think we're okay right now. If once we get closer to it, if it makes more sense,
Yeah.
because I think
All depends how wet and nasty it is.
we're gonna, I think that we're looking at digging that pond in the summer now anyway. So we were originally thinking that we would do it sooner, but I think that we're just gonna do it in June, and then it's not gonna matter.
Yeah.
So that's why we kind of transitioned our thinking on that.
Got it.
Good.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, so now we have, that's point right.
Oh,
Okay, now
Christ,
have
we
a
got Union
CUC.
Street.
A CUC so for a certificate of compliance for 74 South Street.
Yes, so I did go out and inspect the site this afternoon. There's just two things to note. Ultimately, I would recommend the approval of the certificate of compliance, but I actually would put a condition on it.
Okay,
So I would like to note for the record that I did not receive notification pursuant to special condition 52 when installing the stormwater BMP. It is ultimately fine, because again, stormwater BMPs are exempt for single-family homes,
okay.
but special condition 52 required that I was on site
Oh.
to inspect the installation,
Okay,
and I received no notification from the applicant or the representative about
Okay.
that back when. And then additionally, during my site visit today, there is, and I've included a photo in your Google Drive, there is added gravel behind the proposed barn that actually extends further into the 50, I'm sorry, 1 second, let me look. Between, the 50 and 100 foot buffer zone that wasn't permitted and isn't on the as-built. So I would actually just ask that an updated as-built noting the additional impact within the 50 to 100 foot is provided
okay,
as a condition of the approval of COC.
okay.
And then I do see that Susan MacArthur is online. She's a representative.
So that structure needs to be on the as-built?
I'm
Right.
assuming it's just the drive-in to be able to
The drive-in?
install the stormwater BMP, but if it's a permanent structure, they need to account for it and their impacts, or they need to remove it,
Oh, okay, all right.
so.
Where's that,
That is actually on the northwest corner of the, if you look at the plan, the 52 by 60 foot barn.
Hmm,
So, the arrow between 149.4 feet
Yeah.
and then that wall, that is where the basin is, and then
Okay.
it sneaks
It's right
around
next to it.
behind there.
okay, so that, and it's not shown, obviously.
Correct, and it wasn't originally permitted for, the crushed gravel driveway was only, to the right.
Hmm.
It's actually not on the as-built either,
Yeah.
and
So it
it
just says-
really should be.
So it just says, is it extending from the paved driveway, they just put crushed
Correct.
all the way
Yep,
into
and
the-
that was permitted for on the eastern side.
Yeah.
It's just behind, the structure that it's not.
You just need as-built.
Correct. Yep. So I do see that Susan MacArthur, the representative for the applicant, is online. Susan, does that make sense to you?
I can't see where you're talking about. Is there a way to,
Have you, I'm just looking at the as-built plan that you submitted, and then
Okay.
I just have a photo from my site visit. I'm assuming you went on site?
yeah, I did.
Okay, so did you see that there's additional crushed gravel and a turnaround by the basin? It doesn't match what was permitted or the as-built.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Can you put a picture up? Can you put the
I have it
picture
on the Google Drive.
Can she see it? We just put it up.
There's no way, because I'd have to log in,
Oh.
and everybody would see my work.
I mean,
So.
I just, it was part of the grading for, it's not really crushed gravel, is it? I mean.
It is.
Dirt.
It's the same sort of substrate as to the east of the building. So at that point, to dig it out because it's already compacted, it would be
Yeah.
work. So my suggestion is that it's calculated on the as-built as additional impact numbers.
And it's totally an extension of the driveway.
Yeah.
Yeah, same material.
So the crushed gravel that you see on the lower left, the corner of that building is right behind me. So
Yeah, I
that
see
gravel
that,
goes
yeah.
around the entire building,
Okay,
which was not necessarily what was originally proposed.
okay. yeah.
So those impact numbers just need to be revised and submitted on the as-built for the record.
Okay,
So I guess at that point, I defer to the commission if you would like to condition that and approve it, or if you would like to have that and approve it at the next meeting.
I think we'd like to have it.
Okay, then I would suggest no refiling fee.
Yes.
You just move this to the next agenda.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
And that's just within the buffer zone, the 50,
Well, it should,
and you want separate.
it should be the entire as-built. So
Okay.
then building department has a correct as-built too.
You good with that, Susan?
I think so. So you want a resubmitted plan?
Yeah, if you could just provide me we'll just say, a revised plan at this point, and then no refiling fee, it's just moved to the
Right.
next agenda.
Yeah.
So your request is still the same.
Okay.
So then I would suggest you make a motion just to move it to March 20th, since this is an official filing for your certificate of compliance.
Look, Susan, any other questions before we move it? Are you good? Anything?
I think so. Any other changes on the plan that you feel?
Nope,
No?
just
I
that.
think we're good.
Okay.
All right, then I'll give you a motion to move the COC for 74 South Street to March 20th.
Second.
Okay. Vote to move?
Vote to move.
Vote to move. Vote to move.
Vote to move.
Move?
Move.
Move.
All right,
Thank
Susan,
you.
we'll see you then.
Thanks,
Thank you
Susan.
for your help.
Okay, so we're done with the COCs. Now I'd like to move on to violations and enforcement, our favorite area. And the first one up is 305 Union Street. And I see that there is a recommendation for a 30-day extension.
That's amazing. I'll give you a motion to extend the violations and enforcement of 305 Union Street for another 30 days.
Second that.
Okay,
Vote to extend.
vote to extend. Vote to extend.
Extend.
Extend?
Extend.
Extend.
Is there any possibility that that's going to get
Yeah.
solved?
You just voted to extend.
Huh?
You just voted to extend. You moved on. The
Oh.
conversation should have been had during
Yeah.
it, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, so now we move to Prospect Street. There is an update on appeal to the commission. I'm sorry, what is this?
I haven't formally presented any update to the commission. You were out, so we had tabled it, and
Okay.
then we didn't, I never told them what happened.
Okay,
So, commissioners may or may not have heard that the appeal was dismissed, without prejudice, meaning that the commission can seek an enforcement order against Mr. Petrosi at a later date. Main basis for the dismissal was the line between Franklin and Bellingham, and that the commission was extending jurisdiction onto the Bellingham side. I did have a phone call with DEP about that twice, and was told by them that the commission can ask, because it's one project, one contiguous parcel, to install erosion controls. But the mediator and the plaintiff wanted that in writing, and I didn't have it in writing. So I'm trying to get that in writing. And I haven't heard back from DEP, which is not unheard of because we're all busy. The fact that they are pumping out DEP numbers this quick is fantastic, so.
okay,
So I would recommend no action at this time until I get that,
okay,
evidence.
no action. Okay.
Can I ask a question on that?
Go ahead.
I might not be able to ask. Is this project moving forward in the Bellingham side?
I have no idea.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I do know, I mean, he has to come back in front of the Conservation Commission, for the other project, and for the, not the other project, but down, the access down the road from this property.
And that would be the Bellingham Conservation.
No, that's Franklin
Oh, okay.
Conservation.
Lake Street, Prospect.
It's still Prospect.
Okay.
Prospect.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah, there's that
Yeah, we
strip
agree that
of
way.
frontage
yeah,
that he's gotta put an access road.
yeah.
I want to be here for that one.
Okay, let's move on to discussion items, and you said you have some things under leave discussion?
Minutes.
No, well, I'm gonna do the discussion on this first, we'll do minutes last. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so as the commission knows, I'm pregnant. And I have an upcoming leave. I did email you all my remote work schedule, earlier today ahead of time. That's also in my email signature. I will note that that remote work schedule is subject to change the closer we get to May. This will be my last in-person meeting with you guys. I will be remote after this as well. I wanted to note that dissemination of duties, that will be on the next agenda, and we'll host discussions on every agenda until I'm out, so you guys can ask questions. I will note that you guys are gonna have to stand on your own. You really have no internal support. Tyler will be taking over administrative duties. Beta will be continuing their peer reviews. But when it comes to local bylaw review, when it comes to historical precedents, when it comes to mitigating the room, that's all on you guys. So prepare yourself, because I won't be here. On that note, if there are any things you would like to register for during the summer, please let me know now. That's gonna go away
Okay.
until I'm back.
Okay.
So Beta will be finalizing a scope and fee tomorrow with me about what their duties will be while I'm out. Generally, it'll stay the same for commercial, industrial, subdivisions. They're gonna continue doing their peer review. The only difference is that there will be a pot of hours for Beta to use for what would otherwise be internally reviewed at no cost to residents.
What about site visits?
Yes. So Beta will be conducting site visits within a sprint. For those of you that are agile savvy, what we're calling a sprint is the Friday to Wednesday between meetings.
Okay.
But, you know, the commission, I do not have authority without the commission to go on site visits. The commission has the authority. The commission extends their authority to me to conduct site visits. So all of you are more than welcome to conduct site visits. I would suggest that you discuss it at a public meeting, you organize amongst yourselves. Again, if there are 4 or more of you going, you have to post it. So you would coordinate with Tyler to post it on the website as an event, with an agenda, boring
Wait,
agenda.
Is that subject to 21 days?
No.
Okay.
Oh,
Do we
no.
have a?
You can have, I mean, you could talk, let's say you have an open public hearing in front of you and, you know, they want a site visit within the next week and Beta can't go out, you all could coordinate.
Okay, but there's
and
not
go.
a delta where post, I mean, it's posted.
It has to
You
be
can post
48 hours in
48
advance.
hours, oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
Weekday hours, huh?
you can be the weekend.
Oh, it can?
Middleborough goes out on Saturdays.
No, I mean as far as posting it?
Oh, yeah, I believe it has
Business
to be business
Yeah.
days. I also would like to note that, and this is something you should be doing now, but if you see something around town, you have every right to investigate. You have to tell your chair. So sorry, you guys wanna switch now, or? Everything will be going through them. I would also like to note that any comments that you have to go through them. Please do not contact Tyler. He's going to be, we have 2 people leaving our department during my leave, or now or during my leave. He's going to be very strapped. So to streamline processes, please go through your chair and vice chair, and then they will be able to ferry information over to Beta and Tyler. So, you're welcome. You're welcome. So, I would imagine for regular commission members, not much is going to change, other that you will not be able to talk to me. You will have to go through them, which is, I like each and every one of you, but what I would honestly prefer is having one point of contact for the commission. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for regular commissioners.
Will there be agent reports?
No. Beta's already providing you letters. So you will have to read the letters in their entirety. They're very easy to read. Beta bolds whatever updates there are.
So there'll be basically one-ups. We'll have a set of one-ups that we'll bring to the meeting, not a
Yep.
comprehensive summarized report.
Yep.
So question, so the, information that we're gonna, like the letters.
Yep.
It's not gonna be emailed to us, is it gonna be on the drive? Like,
Yes.
You're just gonna put,
Yep,
are you
so-
gonna give us like a heads up, like, hey, this is, like, how we're gonna get notified?
That something's on the
Something's
drive.
updated, or that we need to start looking at something?
Well, you
In
do,
preparation for the,
you don't get notified now, so that process isn't going to change. In that Beta's gonna provide a letter, Tyler or I, sometimes I'm too busy and I tell Tyler, please upload this to the Google Drive, and it will get uploaded. I would note that if you, whatever's in there a week ahead of time, that is what you're looking at, because it's very important that you're adhering to those submission deadlines. They are posted on the website, for your viewing pleasure. So, 2025 hearing schedule with deadlines. Oh, of course it's gonna download. I make this every year. So if you don't, let's say it's May 15th, right, or you're looking for the 6/12 meeting, if you don't have some, or, sorry, 5/29, you don't worry about anything posted after 5/15. Or 5/22.
So let's say, because Roger can't see the thing, the meeting for 3/20,
Yeah.
our next meeting.
Yep.
Anything that will be not continued for that meeting would be on the Google Drive by what date?
So it would have to be by March 13th. It's always a week ahead of time.
Okay, so if we go into the Google Drive on the 13th,
Mhm.
and I
Everything
believe
should be there.
Tyler or you always label it as new.
Yep, there's old material, yep, and
Right.
then everything not in that child folder is pulled out.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah, thank you.
Yep. So unfortunately, it's gonna have to be your due diligence. With the amount of letters and updates and things we receive, there cannot be time spent sending emails constantly that there's new information.
No.
Understood.
Additionally, and this is more for, Jeff and Mark, but if you do require Beta at a meeting, you have to let John know. They won't assume that they'll just be here.
Good point.
We will be talking about fees at a later date. I can pull up my spreadsheet. Much more in-depth conversation than I anticipated. So that's good. I'm glad you guys are excited, huh?
Oh, yeah.
That baby better be damn cute, that's all I'm gonna say.
more excited.
It better be worth it.
Yeah. I mean, again, for the greater commission, if you have questions, you can ask them now. We can also continue to have discussions, but most of the responsibilities are gonna fall to chair, vice chair.
The lucky ones.
Yes,
That's why you get the big bucks.
Yeah, the lucky ones, yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, we get to wear the red hats.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Make,
So,
make conservation great again.
there you go.
Oh, jeez. Oh, yeah.
The Sierra Club has Make America Green Again.
Oh, that's a good one. No, I like that, yeah. Make Franklin green again.
It's on my water bottle. Yeah,
Okay,
so more details on that.
okay.
And then the Earth Day event. which you were both discussing as 420 2 days ago, which is a Sunday.
Okay,
I won't be there.
yeah.
But I will make whatever flyer or coordinate whatever you decide, so. You can discuss amongst yourselves what you would like to do.
Those, okay, I mean, so in past years, as you guys know, we basically, so, you know, a little kiosk and everything like that. You know, someone's brought Dunkin' coffee and donuts or things like that, give out, and we've had little things for the kids and stuff like that. But usually, we've had people that have been canvassing other organizations to help with this, right? Which we have not yet done.
Yeah, the highlight guy is usually, Mike DeForest, Mike, who's the Forester?
Mike Downey.
Yeah, Mike Downey from
Yeah.
DCR, he has a nice tour.
Yeah, so we could reach out to him. Is the Children's Museum up yet, or no? It's not, it's not up yet.
No.
Well, it might be by then.
No, they
They've
have to go
driven
to
by
planning
there.
board for permitting,
Okay.
so they won't be up by
I heard on
April
a
20th.
podcast that might be late March or April.
Really? That would be huge. I mean, that building is not in great shape.
No.
No, 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 no. Okay, so I guess the question is who, oh, Brady, do you have a list of like the people that we contacted last year that maybe we could go back to, that we sort of did
My
sponsorships
friends,
or help? Yeah.
yeah.
Any kind of planning notes or anything like you have for pages and pass those along, please?
Yeah.
So we'll start passing those around. So we might just do this offline, guys. And so I don't wanna take any more time, we're out of time. But, just like pass that around, just get some ideas, maybe start making some calls, you know, that kind of
I
thing.
can do that Excel spreadsheet,
Okay,
or whatever it's called,
okay,
Google
yeah,
Sheets.
yeah, yeah. So we'll just start making some calls, try to set some stuff up. Who was it Parks and Rec that had the tarp and stuff like that, and the chairs and tables and stuff like that we got?
Some from Parks and Rec, some from DPW,
Okay, all right, yeah.
which I can coordinate. I mean, feasibly 420, I'll still be around, it'll just be remote.
Well, let's assume it's 420, and the main thing is just make sure that we have the stuff that we need, the physical stuff that we need, so we can, sit and talk and stuff like that. Do we have any more do we still have all of those really nice, like, posters and stuff that we put up last time? 'Cause we can reuse all that stuff. Yeah.
So, that's Easter.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Oh, man.
Oh, it's on Easter?
That's Easter Sunday.
Oh, that
That's a
doesn't work.
big box.
That's not gonna.
Good
Yeah,
catch.
that's not gonna work. No. They're having Earth Day on Easter,
Well, 421 is Earth Day.
so.
That's just the Sunday.
That's a
before
Sunday?
tradition.
Yeah, Sunday is
that's not gonna
420.
work. That's
I mean,
not gonna work.
doesn't mean we,
Cause no one's gonna come, everyone's gonna be with their families that day, they're gonna be doing eggs and stuff like that.
So why isn't it being done on the 19th, Saturday?
Yeah.
Because
It's
nobody
just day-
thought that the 20th was Easter.
Where's the?
Can we do it on the 19th?
Yes.
well, you
Usually
can also do
Delcart,
it on
but
the
timing and
27th.
location
Whatever
is
reason
something that
historically
still
we've
needs
done
to
it
be
on a Sunday. I
discussed.
mean,
Well, when's, oh, okay.
Earth Day, I think, is the 21st or 22nd, it's a
Kinda
midweek day, right? So you could do the weekend after. Just get completely away from Good Friday and Easter Sunday.
We had this discussion last year.
Yeah. Just,
When's school vacation? Isn't that the week before?
well, it's the
I am
week of
not
the
doing
20th.
The week of the 20th and after?
Yeah, that 21st is the first day, that's Patriots Day.
Okay. I can't be too, yeah.
Starting, unfortunately Saturday's out for me, I can't do it Saturdays.
Yeah, I mean, normally we do it on a Sunday anyway, right? So, I mean, we could look at the 27th. we don't have to decide tonight, but just sort of throw out, right?
I would, 27th is better than 20th.
Yeah, I agree.
You can table it. I mean, I can start drafting a flyer and just,
Okay.
that can be changed, but location and time as well
So we're,
needs to be decided.
well, I mean, I assume that we're gonna do a dog park
You could?
like we did last time. I mean, what we did last time was great. That worked out really well. Everybody loved it. So we should just, I think, do that. I mean, that's what I think.
Is there, should, you know, we did, the 27th is a Sunday. Do you have like a rain date, or is it just gonna be a weekend? Look into that.
That's why if you do it on a Saturday, you can fall to the next day.
I think Saturday's, well, I mean, Saturday's tough for me, I think it's tough for Jeff.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't do Saturday.
Yeah, yeah.
Now we're in hockey season. Sorry.
Why don't we say 4/27 and then 2 weeks in advance, we can watch the weather
Okay, that's fair. True.
and put
That's
out
fair.
a rain date then.
That's fair.
Save rush hour.
Do we know when the town, you know, that whole Beaver Pond thing, and
No idea.
Yeah,
should we ask?
Uh,
I don't mean you, I mean, I'll call Brian even.
No, it's okay, I can figure it out.
Okay.
We have been,
I mean, they must be in the same boat, right?
yeah. And then a time frame. Usually, you've done 10 to 2, which seems to be a little too long.
Yeah,
11 to 1 seems to be too short.
10 to 1?
Sure. Sounds good.
Make it over earlier than later,
That sounds good.
if you go back for a day.
Okay, minutes.
Oh, yeah, I had read it, I didn't have any changes. Anybody? No?
I read it, no changes.
Okay.
Nicole had a question.
I just had a quick question.
Mhm.
I don't know how specific the minutes are supposed to be, but, I had a question about, one of the projects that, I asked the last meeting to one of the applicants, but the answer, the question wasn't in the minutes, and, so I just didn't know.
If you want it to be in the minutes.
Yeah, if you want it to be in the minutes, or if you think it's an important enough question, for example, if that would be in a lawsuit, I would say add it.
No, I just didn't know,
Okay. That's usually like how I think, if it's a determining question that changes the narrative of the project or a potential outcome or something that you foresee being in front of a court as being relevant and important, then it should be in.
Right, because
So-
you're making
so-
a legal record, right?
Should we email anything like that to you, is that the?
Not anymore.
Not anymore, yeah, it should really be in council chambers so everybody can discuss it and validate it and vote to approve.
Okay.
Otherwise,
Yeah,
you
that's
get a
what
backlog
Okay,
of
is there
minutes.
something right now that you would like to bring up?
No, it was just, I was going over tonight's meetings and stuff, and I wanted to just refresh my memory, and I looked back at the minutes, and it wasn't there, so, and then it was like, oh, well, I didn't know how specific the minutes were.
She
I
leaves
think
out my
whatever she
sass,
can
so
hear.
that's,
I'm sorry?
said she leaves out my sass, which I'm grateful for, so that's
Yeah,
good.
so,
No, but it's a good procedural question, and,
yeah,
I mean, we want to have them accurate, right? So,
Yep.
Yeah, if you see something like that, I mean, if you feel it was germane to have in there, we could talk about it now.
Yeah, no, it's
Okay.
fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
but a good question, okay,
Mhm.
cool. I didn't know either, so that's what I was talking about it, so.
so are we okay voting on the minutes? Yeah, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll give you a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting,
February 20th.
I'll second that.
February 20th.
Okay. Second?
Vote to approve.
Approve.
Approved.
Approve?
Approve.
Approve?
Approved, okay. And I think that's it for all the business, right? Nothing? And now we can vote to close. I'll take a motion to close.
I'll give you a motion to close.
Second that?
Okay.
Vote to close. Approve. Whatever.
Approved.
Vote closed.
Close.
Close.
Close?
We are closed. Thank you, everyone. Very late night.
Recording